Welcome to the first UCL Fantasy Deadline stream of the season. It's a pleasure to have you on board, and we have an ambitious target for today to get over 500 likes on this video and to also get to 28,000 subscribers. We hit 27k the other day, so thank you very much for all your support. The channel members, patrons, subscribers, and super chatters are massively appreciated and keep the content going. And if you are a channel member or patron, by the way, check out the transfer tips for Game Week 5 in FPL. That is already available to you, and it will be out for all subscribers very soon. And you can also see my UCL Fantasy team as things stand, because what you see on screen is not my current team. I'm trying to trim down all the copying because there are a lot of copycats out there. I will talk about my team and discuss my plans, of course. And if you watch my videos, you have a good idea of what I'm aiming to do in UCL Fantasy. Let's get straight into your questions and comments as always, and check out all the links in the description below. Be sure to join the UCL Fantasy League for the channel, as well as my Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, for less UCL Fantasy and FPL updates. So welcome, Ray. Good to see you. So changes to the team: got rid of Mbappe to bring in Lewandowski for the first few match days and as a second day captain. Well, Lewandowski would play on the third day, but I get your point. And this is the only match day where we have basically 3 days within the match day. And got Luis Diaz in place of Veerman and changed Trossard to Sabitzer. Looks pretty good overall. I can understand Lewandowski, but I've been asked a lot about him recently, and I've said it time after time again. The reason why I haven't got him yet is because I've got Yamal, and I'm possibly considering a double up with Rafinha. And if you've got Kubarsi or Koundé at the back, you have to be careful anyway, because Barcelona have some tough fixtures in the league phase, like Bayern Munich in matchday 3. Good to see you, Alejandro, as always. Kenyans waiting, says Manu. Thank you very much. Dylan's favourite fantasy hardly does bad, says Batman. Welcome to the channel once again. Do you believe in Madrid's luck in UCL or stick to current form? Real Madrid have pedigree. It's a mixture of luck, but also history, confidence, and an aura, if you want to say that word. I'm kind of tired of hearing that. But in the Champions League, it is their competition. So they're still one of the favourites for me. I think they'll gel over time, and Ancelotti will find the right balance. Are they guaranteed to win the Champions League this season? Not necessarily. Do I think Man City are a better football team? Yeah, I do. But it's not always about the best team to win a competition, especially a tournament or in cup football. Cylindra says, hey Dylan, who's the best 5.5 million midfielder? I'll be honest, I haven't looked too much into this price bracket. I would consider 4.5 million midfielders like Bryan Gil. And I think Kun, who you can see on screen, is another one to consider. He has started week in, week out for Celtic. But at 5.5 specifically, I'd have to double check that. And is it worth going for Anton, my defence with double Arsenal defenders Timber and Gabriel? Anton is one of my considerations for my final team. I think either him or Schlotterbeck will be in my final 50-man squad, and I think Schlotterbeck will get more UCL fantasy points and ball recoveries, but there is a 0.5 million difference in price. I wouldn't mind doubling up on them for the first couple of match days, but then when they face Real Madrid, you'd want to trim that down as soon as possible. Welcome again to Ray. I've moved away from the herd of Mbappe and put my faith in Lewandowski for the first week. Yeah, and if it's not Lewandowski, I think others would go for Harry Kane, who is very likely to be my final team, but I think that's one of my biggest 50-50 calls, Mbappe or Harry Kane. I'm still considering Vinicius and other outside shouts like Lewandowski, but yeah, you can't have them all. That's the moral of the story. Hi, I'm Mbappe by Captain Kane. Yeah, match day 1, I think Dynamo Zagreb at home, Stuttgart at home, quite similar in terms of fixture difficulty. But I think what separates it is Harry Kane's form. He scored a hat-trick over the weekend and got an assist. I know Mbappe scored a penalty, but I don't think he's been at his best at Real Madrid, who have struggled a little bit with that balance. I think Rodrigo, Mbappe, and Vinicius all want to play on the left. So once they find that, I think they'll get things sorted. Who did you guys captain? Great question as well by Zach. So just to be clear, at the moment, I'm currently going for Harry Kane as my captain. I discussed this in the team selection. I have made some changes, though, ever since. And on screen, like I said, these are some good picks. Some of them might make my final squad, but it isn't my team at the moment. Thank you, by the way, to Arda for becoming a differential. Like I said, if you do play FPL, check out the Transfer Tips podcast. That is available to you now before anybody else gets it in terms of subscribers. And you can also see my UCL Fantasy team as things stand. But there is the possibility I make very late changes because I like to overthink, especially in UCL Fantasy. And I've got a good record in this competition, but I'm trying to trim down the copiers, so to speak. Has to be Kane for match day 1. In terms of captains, yeah, I think so. At least for the Tuesday. One of the put-offs for Bayern Munich assets, including Harry Kane, is Aston Villa away in match day 2, which I think there can be goals in that game, but it's not the easiest of matches. Then you've got Barcelona. So I think that's one of the key reasons why Mbappe is so popular. Mbappe or Vinicius? I think Mbappe just about. Yeah, so by the way, for those that aren't aware, I did mention this towards the beginning of the stream. Bellingham is expected to start against Stuttgart, so I think he's a great option for Matchday 1. He was in my original first draft a couple of weeks ago, actually. I wouldn't double up on Bayern Munich defensively. I think one's enough. Kim Min-jae is probably the best because of ball recoveries, but with Aston Villa away and Barcelona, as I just mentioned, I wouldn't double up on them. One's enough. I think Schlotterbeck is better, but I might end up going for Anton simply because he's 0.5 million cheaper and it opens up possibilities in your team. So if you can't make an upgrade with that extra 0.5 million and budget is no issue, I'd go for Schlotterbeck. Welcome, Callan Jr. Hi, Dylan. 2 hours to go. Still don't have a chip strategy. Seen one where you limitless matchday 3 and wildcard matchday 5. So I did discuss this in my chip strategy guide the other day. I'm not really too fussed about what you just mentioned there. A wildcard in matchday 5 can work out pretty well, but I still like the idea of having it in the knockout stages. Now, as I said in that video, my chip strategy isn't completely locked in, but if I had to pencil in or give you a current match day or set of match days where I'm likely to use the limitless or wildcard, I think it'd be match day 3 or 4 for the limitless, and for the wildcard, probably in the knockouts. We're talking about match days 12 to 15, but it's not set in stone. Thank you, Obat. Teal from PSV. I think PSV are a bit underrated. I know last season they were quite disappointing. Their first game in the Champions League, they lost 4-0 against Arsenal, but they've got some decent players despite the fact they always sell, and I think Teal could be decent. There is a chance Saka doesn't play. He had cramp against Spurs, and I think he'll be safe for the Man City game. Now, he can get some minutes, there's no doubt about that, but it's not a guarantee that he starts. I could see Sterling playing on the right on Thursday. So yeah, I've been told a lot about Gyökeres's pronunciation. So I've seen some people say it's Gyökeres, but honestly, or is it Gyökeres? But honestly, I honestly don't know. Some people say his name is Hungarian because he's of Hungarian descent. He is obviously Swedish, but yeah, I think he's a great option. He's likely going to be in my final team, just to be very clear on that. As I mentioned, if you watch my team selection and my drafts, you have a very good idea of what my final squad will be. I'll show it towards the end, but I'm trying to limit the copiers because, like I said, there are some people who literally just look at the screen and just copy move for move every single transfer throughout the season. So I'm trying to dial that down a little bit. Hello, what do you think of Gloku? Not much of an opinion, to be honest. I haven't really considered him for my UCL fantasy team. So yeah, do you consider Kun? He is on screen, but I'd only go for him if you want a 4.5 million budget enabler in the midfield or forward line. But I'd rather go for more expensive options. That includes Joshua Kimmich, possibly Valverde, Barcola, and Analyse, who is expected to start against Dynamo Zagreb at home. But yeah, he's decent. I think he's got back-to-back yellow cards, which is a bit of a concern. Welcome, Wei saying good to see you. Probably couldn't, but I don't know much about Maeda, to be honest. Which is the best transfer option, says Sidindra? A, Mbappe, Rafinha, Gonçalves, I like him. Gravenberch, any 5.5 million midfielder and below. Or B, Gyökeres, Salah, Valverde, and a 6.5 million midfielder. Quite tough, to be fair. But I'd probably edge towards B, simply because I don't rate Gravenberch as a UCL fantasy option. He's had a good start to the season. He might get ball recoveries, which could make him decent, but having him and a 5.5 million midfielder, I'd rather go for the more balanced B option that you mentioned. So that's what I'd go for right now, but it is close. I think Elise has a high ceiling, and for matchday 1, I'd rather go for Elise, but over the course of the season, I think Valverde is probably the safer pick, so I'm going to go for him. Hey bro, mostly on FPL, first Champions League season, no clue, but good luck. Well, good luck to you as well, FPL Kevy. It is fun, and normally the template isn't as strong as it is in FPL, which is a very good thing. And yeah, I think if you haven't watched already, check out my chip strategy guide. My how to play guide will be very crucial. But if you have played UCL, well, if you played Euro or World Cup Fantasy, should I say, it's very similar to UCL. It's made by the same people, at least the Euro competition is. Yeah, Del Castillo, I like at 5.5 million, to be fair. I did mention him in a previous stream. You are right to mention him. So yeah, Del Castillo is my favourite 5.5 million midfielder and below. He also scored against PSG over the weekend. I'd rather go for Schlotterbeck over Emre Can. I'm not sure if you put the comment the other day, but I did reply to someone and I explained that Emre Can, He has started a lot of games, but he does get subbed off early, and I think Schlotterbeck is more nailed on. The only reason why Schlotterbeck didn't start this weekend is because he was suspended. He had a second yellow card in the previous match day in the Bundesliga, and that's why he didn't play. He will almost certainly start this week. How many subs are allowed on each match day? Well, technically only 4. Your goalkeeper and your 3 outfield players, right? And what you want to do is have those on your bench play later in the match day, and then you bring them on for your lowest scoring players who have already played. That's the way it works. Thoughts on getting Timber and Lewis? Well, with Arsenal's injury problems, I'd argue Timber is slightly nailed on at the moment, but he just came back from an ACL injury and he played the full 90 against Tottenham. I'm not saying he's going to be subbed off before 60 minutes or be benched against Atalanta, but I'd be a little bit careful about that. He might be good for ball recoveries, to be honest, and I think he's the first choice left back for Arsenal. But I think Saliba and Gabriel offer that certainty of starts, and it's worth the extra 0.5 million. Once Calafiori is back, we could see him start games in the Champions League over Jurriën Timber. As for Rico Lewis, I think he starts in match day 1, but it's going to be very difficult to predict the way him and Walker will rotate in the coming weeks. Thank you, Ray, for the super chat. I just saw this, so apologies. Sabitzer, Diaz, Musiala, Raum, Gabriel, Grimaldo, Kane, Lewandowski, Gyökeres, Matvivenko, nice, Di Gregorio, Skorupski, Piatowski, yeah, he's decent as a 4 million defender, Yamal and Bellingham. I think that's a great squad, to be honest. There's always a bit of doubt or uncertainty about these budget options, but I think they're pretty decent for their price. I think the only kind of weakness, so to speak, would possibly be Matvivenko, and maybe Diaz. I'm not a huge fan of him in terms of a consistent goal scorer or assister. He's a good player, a very good dribbler, but I don't really rate him as much as other 7.5 million midfielders, which includes Rafinha, Yamal, who you have already, Florian Wirtz, and a few others. Even Pedro Concalves at 6.5 could be another shout for you. Yeah, not long now, FPL Onions. MSB10 says struggling to pick between Watkins and Gyökeres. So match day 1 is quite even, but I have to say, I might just say Gyökeres, by the way, because I'm sure someone's going to be saying, you got it wrong again. But I think Gyökeres has been in amazing form for the last year, and he hasn't blanked in any match so far this season. He has gotten a lot of penalties, though, which is worth mentioning, but with Ollie Watkins, he got a brace over the weekend, looked very clinical against Everton, but beyond match day 1, I think Sporting have better fixtures in match days 2 and 3. Over the course of the entire league phase, you could argue Watkins has better fixtures, so it's actually a very tough battle. At the moment, though, I am leaning towards the Swede. Yeah, Beraldo, 4 million defender. You are right, I mentioned him in my latest draft video a couple of days ago. If you are looking at a 4 million defender, he looks pretty decent. Let me just give a shout out to Gol Sekar, or Gopal. Gol is also pretty good, but thank you for becoming a differential. As I mentioned earlier, check out the Transfer Tips podcast for FPL. That is already available to you, and you can see my UCL Fantasy team as things stand. There have been 3 or 4 changes from the team selection, so be sure to check that out. UCL Fantasy makes more sense the way it's set up compared to FPL. Yeah, everyone's got a different opinion, right? I prefer UCL Fantasy typically. I do better in this format, but I also think the template isn't as strong as it is in FPL. And this season, FPL is a bit more interesting, to be fair, but I think it's still much more generic in template compared to UCL, Euro, or World Cup Fantasy. Yeah, not a bad shout, Tomo. He's another good option that you're right to point out, but I do prefer Del Castillo. Yeah, so I just mentioned Timber right now, just to kind of summarize. He's not nailed on at left back for the entire league phase, so he might work well for the first couple of match days, but once Calafiori is back and you've got Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, and even Tierney, I think there will be rotation there. Emre Can won't start tomorrow. Like I mentioned anyway, he's not the most nailed on option. I'd rather go for Schlotterbeck. What do you think about Gnabry and Lewandowski? Lewandowski I'm actually very fond of at 9.5 million. Gnabry's been in decent form this season, but I'd rather go for Musiala, Elise, Kimmich, and of course Harry Kane up front. I think he's by far the best Bayern Munich asset. Welcome Toronto. Hey Dylan, it's great to see your UC Fantasy content back again. No, what you see on screen are some very good picks. Some of them might make my final team, but it isn't my current squad. So those that are signed up as a patron or a channel member can see them already, and it's also another perk that they are entitled to, and they also can see the Transcripts podcast, which I uploaded earlier. Grimaldo or Frimpong? Grimaldo. He's been in far better form this season. Frimpong is still a good option, don't get me wrong, but I'd rather go for the informed Grimaldo. Barcola and Beraldo, or Gonçalves and... what is this? And Maatsen. Yeah, I think Maatsen will start, actually. He hasn't started a single game so far this season, but I think he'll be the designated left-back in the Champions League, and Luca Dean will start most Premier League games. As for a duo, it's actually very close, but I'd go for Gonçalves and Maatsen purely because PSG's fixtures after Matchday 1 are terrible. Now, if you are looking to wildcard and limitless early, maybe Barcola and Beraldo look great for Matchday 1. I think they'll be very good, actually, but in the long term, I'd suggest the other duo. Yeah, Emre Can is on penalties when he's on the pitch, but the problem is, if he doesn't start, are you just going to hope that he gets subbed on and gets a penalty? I think that's wishful thinking. Now, he could still start. I'm not sure exactly what lineups have been flying around. There are a lot of predictions in the sphere at the moment, but yeah, I don't think he's the most nailed-on defender, let's put it that way. Even if he starts, he can be subbed off before 60 minutes. Do you think Rodgers or Maatsen are decent picks? Yes, they remain good picks. I'd rather go for Maatsen if I had to pick one, but I don't see Aston Villa keeping many clean sheets, to be honest. Yeah, that's fair enough. Luis Diaz takes a lot of shots and he's got some good underlying numbers. I just don't rate him as much as other 7-point fouling midfielders in this game. So that's really the reason why I said that, but it is kind of an opinion-based thing. How about Brandt, Musiala and Foden? So Foden is expected to start by some, diehard Man City fans, and seeing the fact that De Bruyne started over the weekend, played 90 minutes for Belgium twice over the international break, and has started every single game this season, I think Foden comes in for De Bruyne, and I think that's a good pick for Matchday 1, despite the fact that he's facing Inter Milan. And will he be, up to speed? Probably not. That is definitely a concern. And will he play the full 90? That's another big issue. Musiala I like a lot for Matchday 1, but if you are going for a Bayern Munich attacker, I'd highly recommend Harry Kane up front. As for Julian Brandt, he's decent. Same with Adeyemi. But with Borussia Dortmund, I think their best assets are Schlotterbeck, Kobel and Anton. I wouldn't go for all three of them at the same time, though. Yeah, Bellingham is expected to play. I did mention this earlier. Of course, you might have joined just now, but just to let you know, yes, he is going to be a good asset. Maybe will he drop off a little bit from last season? Perhaps. It's always a possibility. Thank you, by the way, Wasting, for moderating the chat. Any spamming like that will just not be tolerated, and it will be timed out. You might even be banned from the channel, so try not to spam the chat and get in the way of other people. Gyökeres or Watkins? I'd go for Gyökeres. This is going to be a very common question today, and I'll stick with Gyökeres, but it's very close, I do admit. Yeah, I think Kane and Musiala in the same team is great for Matchday 1, but Musiala didn't score that many points last season, and in terms of goals, he was also quite underwhelming. So don't get me wrong, he's a fabulous player, had a great Euro tournament, and he can become a fantastic UCL Fantasy asset, but I'd rather go for Kane. I covered that question, Guy. Lewandowski I rate highly, and Gnabry's decent, but there are better options. Best family and defenders except for Kim Min-jae and Schlotterbeck. I think Juventus have a few. Bremer and Gatti would be two of them. And there's probably a few others that are escaping my mind. I'd also suggest Anton at 4.5 from Borussia Dortmund. The same goes for Kubarsi at Barcelona. Yeah, Schlotterbeck should start. He has no injury. He was suspended, as I mentioned earlier. Who should I make my captain? So if you aren't aware, and this is obviously a great way to explain to maybe newcomers to UCL Fantasy, you don't want to captain Haaland today. The reason why is because he plays tomorrow on the 18th of September. What you want to ensure is that you have everyone on the 17th of September in your starting 11 and you captain a player who plays on the Tuesday. Then if they blank during the substitution window, so after today's games and just before tomorrow's matches start, and there is a deadline for that, you can then make substitutions and change the captaincy. So I think the simple way of answering this is Kane or Mbappe for today, and my preference would be Kane, then Haaland as your captain tomorrow, but only if you're unhappy with your captaincy score from your original captain there. So let me know if that answers your question, and I'd highly encourage everyone watching, if you aren't acclimatized to Euro, World Cup or UCL Fantasy, to check out my How to Play guide, which I made several years ago. It will answer every single question you have. You might be right, Nico. Saka is the type to play week in, week out. He's a top quality player, one of the best wingers in world football, but there is a chance that his minutes are reduced, and it wouldn't surprise me if Sterling played on the right wing to start things off, because it's a massive game against Man City just 3 days after. In fact, it's less than 3 days after. Thank you for the super chat there. Massively appreciated. What are your thoughts on Maeda, Celtic versus Castillo? My preference would be Del Castillo, but Maeda is a decent shout. He's been talked about quite a lot recently, especially in this live chat. I'd go for Del Castillo. He was also in one of my drafts. Kun starts for sure. I believe so. I think he's only been benched once this season. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's actually quite nailed on for Celtic. At 4.5 million, you can't complain. Adeyemi should play as the left winger. He scored a brace this weekend. Will Saka play today? Well, okay, I'm not going to be a smart ass, but Arsenal do play on Thursday. There is a chance Saka doesn't start. But if you're asking me, knowing Arteta, I think he probably does. But there is enough risk and doubt for me not to go with Saka. And that's one of the changes I have made from my team selection podcast. I'm not so sure about that. Gravenberch has had a great start to the season. If he can get ball recoveries, then you might be right. He could be a great option, but that remains to be seen. Now, in the Premier League, he has gone quite a few defensive actions, interceptions, and tackles, but can he translate that to the Champions League? That's a question that remains unanswered, and I'd rather go for Del Castillo at 5.5, maybe Maeda or Kun at a similar price, not to mention at 6 million and above, like Kimmich, for example. I'd much rather go for these sorts of players. Yeah, Ryerson from Dortmund is decent. I also don't mind him. But my favourite Borussia Dortmund defenders are Schlotterbeck and Anton. Probably Mbappe, Abdullah, and just to be clear, what you see on screen isn't my current squad. I do not have Vinicius, but I still think he's a great option. Yeah, thank you, Wei Seng. I'm not sure why that's the case, to be fair. Probably just needs a refresh. But I appreciate you letting me know, because normally it does work. So yeah, it should work from now. Yeah, Gonzalo Inacio, that's another great shout I forgot to mention, actually. Not sure why this isn't working. Just give me a second. Let me try and get this on screen. Ah, right. Okay, that's probably why. Should work now. So Jorge puts this question, just to go back to it. I'd probably say Schlotterbeck if funds are no issue. For some reason, it's still not working. It's a bit frustrating. But yeah, I'd probably go for Schlotterbeck. I do like Gonzalo Inacio, though. You make a great point to point him out. I'm not sure why this isn't working, by the way. The chat overlay. That is very, very strange. Yeah, normally kind of works hunky-dory. The hell? Gonna see if I can fix this, but at the moment it doesn't look likely. It was all working beforehand, so it does seem a bit strange. How about Gundogan? Yeah, good option, Sebastian, but I'd rather go for other options or more nailed on. The thing is with Gundogan, he hasn't started games for Man City, often enough, so I wouldn't go there. I'm going to see if I can fix this, by the way, but it's not looking great at the moment, which is a big shame. So, yeah, this is going to be a bit jarring. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly why this isn't working, by the way. Yeah, that's a bit of a piss take. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. Thank you to those that have sent in super chats, all the patrons and members. Be sure to check out the Trans Tips podcast for FPL and also my current team in UCL Fantasy. That is all available to the members. What do you think of Dembele? Decent option. I'd rather go for Barcola, though. A bit cheaper, and he's been very consistent this season. My current chip strategy is to limitless between match days 2 and 7, most likely between match days 3 and 4, and the wildcard in the knockouts. But I am open to using it in match day 5. Yeah, Juventus goalkeeper is still good. I mentioned this in my team selection. Thiago Motta has this policy of rotating goalkeepers in the league. Di Gregorio should start, and don't have any concerns. We will see the Juventus lineup before kickoff, so you can see if he starts or not. If he doesn't, change your goalkeeper. Which two of Adeyemi, Barcola, Concalves? I'd probably go for Concalves and Barcola. So Yamal out, not necessarily. He might still be my team. And like I said, I will show you my squad later on. I'm trying to reduce copying, but yeah, I think one of Yamal or Rafinha will be in my final team, to be honest. Anton or Sula? Probably Anton. Haaland or Kane? Haaland long term. I think in match day 1, Kane outscores him, but beyond that, I'd go for Erling Haaland. Let's see. Okay, now it's working. I honestly have no idea what the hell happened, but it's good to see that's finally working there. Yeah, 4-point family mids. Kun, who you can see on screen from Celtic, and also Brahim Gil. 4-point family midfielders who start week in, week out for the clubs. They're pretty decent. Thank you, Serial, for letting me know. Like I said, I have no idea why that didn't, why I wasn't working in the first place. Goalkeeper for Sporting at 4 million is going to start, says Afonso. I appreciate the update. I'll have a look myself, and I'll try to show you some predicted lineups and highlight some team news as we go along. But that is a very good shout, actually. I'm just wondering if it's beyond the Matchday 1 thing, because if it's only for 1 week, I mean, yeah, it's a 4 million goalkeeper. You can't complain, but you'd rather have a locked-in goalkeeper for the league phase because you don't want to make transfers in this position. So yeah, the main goalkeeper is injured, Vladan, it looks like. So yeah, Franco Israel is poised to start. The first 3 fixtures look fantastic, and I wouldn't even mind a defensive double-up for the first 3 match days. You can go for Gonzalo Inacio and Franco Israel. Great shout there. Thank you very much. What do you think of the defense? Cubarsí, Chan, Rice, and Beraldo Grimaldo. I like the defenders overall, but I'd probably go for someone else over Emre Can. Good for ball recoveries. He's also on penalties, but he can be subbed off before 60 minutes. It's happened this season already, and he might even be benched from time to time. He's not the most nailed-on option. So that also answers Hudson's question, so that should kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Hey, Dylan, thoughts on Lenormand? He was in one of my drafts. I think it was my updated draft, so my second one. He's decent at 5 million, to be fair, but not my favourite. Schlotterbeck or Anton? If money's no issue, I'd go for Schlotterbeck. Yep. Sí, entonces, para decirlo en español, yo iría por Schlotterbeck si el dinero no es un problema para ti. Kane or Mbappe? For Matchday 1, Kane. I think longer term, Mbappe has the better fixtures. Thank you, Dombrew1, for becoming a differential. Massively appreciated. Do you think Rodri is a good option? Yes, but I think I'd rather go for Barcola, Pedro Goncalves. They are much more offensive options, but Rodri can get ball recoveries. He's a very crucial player. Don't be surprised if he scores against Inter Milan yet again tomorrow. Best 4.5 defender, probably Cubarsí, but you've also got Anton, Cabal from Juventus. There's a lot of options, actually. Gonzalo Inacio from Sporting for the first 3 match days looks amazing. So I think those would be the standouts. My favourite is Cubarsí. Thoughts on Szoboszlai, Vinicius, Cubarsí and Guerreiro as differentials? Yeah, Szoboszlai has the most key passes of any Liverpool player this season. Cubarsí is my favourite 4.5 million defender, so I don't need to talk about him again. But Vinicius, still one of the top forwards, and Guerreiro did quite well in certain games last season. But I think from Bayern Munich, I'd rather go for Kim Min-jae. Thoughts on Grimaldo, Frimpong double up? Probably not for me. Leverkusen have some tough games, and defensively, they've never been a unit defensively. Now, with Frimpong and Grimaldo, they're a bit like Borra from FPL. You own them for the attacking potential, but Frimpong isn't in the best of form. I just go for Grimaldo, and that's it. And that's what I've currently gone for. Yeah, Emre Can is the penalty taker. You are correct, but he doesn't start every single game. He's not absolutely nailed on. Is he first choice? Yes, but he's not guaranteed to start every single match or play 60+ minutes. It's happened already this season. You can check it yourself. If you want to go there, be my guest, but I just rather go for Anton and Schlotterbeck. Do you like Carvajal? He's decent, but he was a bit underwhelming last season. I actually owned him for Matchday 13 in the Champions League final, where he was man of the match, but apart from that, he was pretty underwhelming overall. Anonymous, I did answer your question about Rodri, so just rewind a few minutes and you'll get that. The answer is yes, he's a good option, but there are better. Boniface or Gyökeres? How about Salah? One of the best midfielders in the game, if you can make it work with the budget. He offers tremendous value at 10 million, but it's still a steep price in UCL Fantasy. I think Gnabry will start. Let me actually check here. Let me just check this. Because I did have some lineups here, or some predicted ones. They're not going to be 100% accurate. So yeah, Bayern Munich are expected to line up with Neuer, Guerreiro, Kim Min-jae, Upamecano, and Kimmich at right back, with Paulinho and Pavlovic in midfield, Gnabry, Musiala, Elise, and Harry Kane up front. So it's not an absolute guarantee, but I think Gnabry will start. So if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. We already have 800 people watching, so I appreciate that. But let's get these likes up. As I mentioned earlier, the aim is to get this to over 500 likes, and we're going to answer hundreds of questions today, possibly close to 1,000. I'm not even sure. I'm not going to count exactly. But our aim is to get to 28,000 subscribers by the end of today. We hit 27k the other day, and I think we're just a few hundred away from the next goal. So let's see where we're at right now. Yeah, I think we need around 400 subscribers to get to 28k. So let's try to do that by the end of the stream. Your support for UCL Fantasy and Euro Fantasy content has been amazing, even the World Cup 2 years ago. So thank you very much. Watkins doesn't make much sense for me considering their fixtures. Like I said, what you see on screen isn't my current team. To be clear, I do not have Ollie Watkins. I recommend him for Matchday 1, but I will likely not go for him. I think Gyökeres is a better choice. I've discussed this in all of my videos. You've also got Boniface, who is a popular option, it seems, in the community. But Watkins is great for Matchday 1, don't get me wrong. I'd go for Schlotterbeck over Lenormand. Beraldo or Piatkowski from 4 million. Very close. I think Beraldo is better overall, but the fixtures are tougher for Paris Saint-Germain, and he could be rotated from time to time. So I might reluctantly go for Piatkowski. Gyökeres or Watkins, that question has been covered, so hopefully you got that. Yeah, De Bruyne is a good choice when he starts, but it's not a guarantee he will. If he does tomorrow, he's not going to play against Arsenal, surely, or at least he won't start that game because he's played so many minutes recently, and normally his minutes are managed extensively by Pep Guardiola. Yeah, Szoboszlai has the same chance to create as Trent. Yep, that is true. Trent is still a great option in UCL Fantasy. I would recommend him. By the way, just to let you know, if there are repeat questions, especially by the same person that has been highlighted and answered, they may be skipped. So just bear that into account. Try not to spam the chat. Try to listen if you can as well. I will lock my team in, but this is not the squad. This will not be my squad. Just to be very clear, I've said it from the beginning. I'll probably put a pinned comment very soon as well, just so I don't have to say it again. Bernardo Silva, decent. I think he'll start. He's had a good start to the season as well, but I don't think I'd go for him in UCL Fantasy. Adeyemi or Rafinha? I'd still go for Rafinha. Olise is good for Matchday 1. Not the most nailed-on player you'll ever get, but at 6.5 million offers tremendous value. Thoughts on Saliba? He's good for ball recoveries. Maybe not to the same level as Kim Min-jae or Schlotterbeck, but he'll be up there. Maybe in the top 10, 15 by the end of the season for ball recoveries. I think for clean sheets, Arsenal have a good chance, or as good of a chance as any other team. They've got the best defence in Europe at the moment, so I like him. The problem is there are some tough games. Atalanta away, not a guaranteed clean sheet. PSG at home, also difficult. Haaland or Mbappe for Matchday 1? For Matchday 1, Mbappe. Koundé or Carvajal? I think Koundé's better in isolation, to be honest. Musiala or Olise, in your opinion? Olise. Welcome, Ventislav. Hey, glad to see you again. Please let me know what you think of Limitless Matchday 3 wildcard in knockouts. That's my current plan. Maybe Limitless a bit later, but definitely in the league phase. For everyone watching, do not Limitless in Matchday 8 if you can help it, because you will not be able to make manual substitutions in Matchday 8 because every single team will play at the exact same time. So bear that in mind. No matter what you do with your chips, do not use the Limitless in Matchday 8 because you will kind of, I'd say, reduce your ceiling for that chip, which could easily get over 100 points when deployed in the league phase, and you've got the substitutions available to bolster your team. So you've put your squad here, Di Gregorio, Blazwich. I think that's one of the best goalkeeper combos you can go for. I also like Schmeichel, by the way, so he's another one to consider. Kim Min-jae, Ryerson, Piatkowski, Timber, Kumbarsi, Yamal, Wirtz, Musiala, KDB, Valverde. So yeah, great team. A few concerns I have is KDB. I don't think it's a guarantee he starts tomorrow. And a few lineups I've seen actually have Foden starting instead of De Bruyne. And my other concern would be Timber. I think you'll start the first couple of match days in UCL Fantasy, which is fine, and it also could suit your chip strategy. But once Calafiori and all these other left-backs for Arsenal like Zinchenko are back, I could see Timber being rotated, especially in so-called easier games in the league phase, and safe for the Premier League, because he is currently the first-choice left-back, but he's not nailed on like a Gabriel or Saliba. Hola Dylan, Rico y Beraldo serán titulares? Sí, creo que sí. Con Rico Lewis siempre hay una duda. Es un muy buen jugador con mucho potencial, pero con Kyle Walker es muy difícil adivinar si va a jugar Rico Lewis todos los partidos en la Champions, y el Premier League para mí no va a ser así. Y con Beraldo, de vez en cuando puede ser que va al banco, pero para 4 millones es un defensor que puede recuperar el balón, y de vez en cuando Paris Saint-Germain puede tener vallas invictas. Best 9 million midfielder? I think Saka overall, but he might not start match day 1. How you doing with Predict 6, Dylan? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the change, to be honest. I know it suits the casuals, and look, I understand it's a kind of a bit long, as they say in London slang, to go for like all the predictions every single match, especially with this expanded format. But I think 6 is a bit too low for a single match day. I'll show you my predictions later. I speak Spanish at home. My parents are from Argentina. Any good 4 million goalkeeper? The Sporting goalkeeper, Franco Israel, pointed out by a Portuguese viewer in the live chat earlier. So big shout out to him. So Franco Israel is a 4 million goalkeeper who will start in match day 1. But once the first choice comes back, that will change. Grimaldo or Trent? I'm going for Grimaldo at the moment, but I think Trent's a great option. I'm very conflicted about it, but I'm currently going for the Spaniards simply because of the extra funds you get. I'd go for Grimaldo over Frimpong de Herman. Rafinha or Yamal? I'm currently going for Yamal, so that would be my recommendation. It is very close, though. This weekend, Yamal got a brace. Rafinha had another good performance, but no GA, as far as I'm aware. Ryerson over Schlotterbeck, not too shabby. I just think if funds no issue, I'd just go for Schlotterbeck if possible. You've also got Anton at 4.5. Yeah, Gyökeres is good. Of course, I think he's going to score a lot of goals in the league phase. Maybe not as many as the Portuguese league, but at 7.5 million and below, I don't see many outscoring him. Gonzalo Inacio, Koundé or Carvajal Cubarsí? Wow, that is close. I think I'd go for the first duo, actually. So Gonzalo Inacio and Koundé. Musiala or Bellingham? Bellingham. Any better 5 million midfielder than Gravenberch? Probably the 4.5 million ones, like Kun from Celtic. You can see him on screen. And the other one would be Bryan Gil. But Gravenberch will probably get, well, he will get more ball recoveries than those two. So he might be a bit more consistent. It's just, with Gravenberch, I think you'll be limited to 3 or 4 points in most match days, which isn't bad, by the way, at 5 million. I don't think Arda Güler starts. And actually, let's talk about the Real Madrid predicted lineup, because that's pretty important as well. Bellingham is expected to start, so for those of you that want to go there, I think Bellingham's a great choice. He's very likely to be in my final team if I go for a 9 million midfielder. So let me just get Real Madrid's lineup, for me anyway. Let's see if I can find them. If not, I can just show you on screen here. Let's go to different screens first. Let's go to the Juve PSV page. So no matter what you do in UCL Fantasy, go to the UEFA.com website because they will show you the lineups before anywhere else. So that's very good. They also show you a breakdown of both teams, predicted lineups, form. They show you the head-to-head of both clubs. But let's actually go to Real Madrid here. Now, it is very small. I'll probably zoom in here. It's not going to look great. For some reason, this picture was made very small. But as you can see here, the expected midfield would be Tchouaméni, Valverde, and Bellingham, with Vinicius, Mbappe, and Rodrigo up front. The defensive line would be Courtois and goal, Carvajal, I think that's Militao, and Rudiger with Felan Mendy. So, yeah, that is the expected Real Madrid lineup. I don't think Arda Güler will start. Let's actually go back a little bit now. Yeah, I'm not sure why they made the image so small, but I will come back to the UEFA.com website once the lineups are out for the Aston Villa and Juventus games. Let's go to my UCL Fantasy squad once again. Well, I say my UCL Fantasy squad. There are some picks in here who can make my final team, and there are some fantastic picks in here, but my current team is different. If you are signed up as a patron or member, check it out on patreon.com/DylanRCM. It's on the homepage there, very easy to find, and on the community tab in YouTube. The same goes for the FPL Transcripts podcast for Gameweek 5, so you can watch it before anybody else by becoming a patron or member. I answered your question already about chip strategy, and it's all covered in my chip strategy guide. It's not locked in. I'll be using Limitless between match days 2 to 7. That's almost guaranteed, and I think the most likely match day would be 3 or 4. As for the wild card, my ideal scenario would be to save it for the knockout stages, so match days 12 to 16, I'd say. But there is a chance I use it in match day 5. I'll keep my options open, and it might depend on how I fare in the first few match days of the season. Who's a good replacement for Saka? Bellingham. I'd go for Bellingham because in the long term, you could see Foden benched, especially as he builds up his minutes, and he might start some Premier League games and be benched in the Champions League. I think Man City have some quite easy opponents in the league phase, and they can afford to bench Phil Foden quite easily. As for Bellingham, he starts week in, week out for Real Madrid. I'd definitely go for him. Militao won't play. Maybe I read it wrong. I don't know, but that is a predicted lineup I saw, and it's provided by the UEFA website. Yeah, Valverde is good for 6.5 million. Decent ball recovery potential. He can be inconsistent, so one thing I noticed with him last season, he would get a big return, maybe player of the match and, you know, a 9 points or above, and then give you a lot of 2 to 3 points. You don't really want that, even at 6.5 million. And you've got more attacking options like Pedro Goncalves and also Olise, who will likely start in Matchday 1. Mbappe better than Haaland for the first 3 match days? I'd say no. Matchday 1, yes, definitely, at least based on the fixture, but I would go for Haaland for the first 3 match days. The form is absolutely outrageous, whilst Mbappe has struggled a little bit. I think Cambiasso is relatively nailed for Juventus, yeah. Should I captain Olise or Bellingham today? Out of those two, I'd probably go for Bellingham, but he is playing in the midfield and he's not playing the same role as last season as a sort of second striker with the signing of Kylian Mbappe. I would go for Gonzalo Inacio there, Spicy. Best 4.5 million defender. I don't think Rico is the best, to be honest with you. I think Ubarsi, Anton from Borussia Dortmund are better, and the same goes for Gonzalo Inacio from Sporting. Let's see what else we have. Vinicius or Mbappe? Mbappe. Grimaldo or Carvajal? Grimaldo. Opinion on Rodgers if he starts for Villa? Yeah, I think he's decent, but in the Premier League, I mean, I'm not sure if you play FPL. He's been very frustrating in that fantasy format. Some decent underlying numbers, great performances, even against Arsenal in Game Week 2. But he hasn't translated that into goals or assists. Maybe this will be the time. And young boys are really struggling in the Swiss league. I think they're near the bottom. In fact, I think they are bottom of that league at the moment with 14 goals conceded. And Aston Villa are looking quite strong this season. Yeah, I've talked about chip strategy quite a few times, and I do have a dedicated video. Just to summarize, my plan is to limitless between match days 2 to 7. Do not use it in match day 8. Everyone plays at the same time in the final match day of the league phase. And I would like to use the wildcard in the knockouts between match days 12 to 16, but I might end up using it in match day 5, depending on how I do in the first couple of match days on injury, suspensions. I want to keep my options open. Best Atletico Madrid defender, possibly Lenormand. Good 4.5 million goalkeeper. Di Gregorio from Juventus, I think he'll still start. Kasper Schmeichel and Blažević would be 3 of them. You've also got a 4 million goalkeeper who'll start in matchday 1 in Franco Israel from Sporting. Saka could still start. I think it's just cramp. He got flagged immediately in UCL Fantasy. I don't even know if he's flagged in FPL. I'd have to double check that. But yeah, with Saka, I think it's just a Man City game a few days afterwards. That's the big concern. I don't think it's a major injury. He played through injury for the entire season last year, so it's kind of natural at this point. Ferland Mendy is the first choice left back, but he's not as nailed as Carvajal on the right or a Rudiger in central defence, but he is the first choice left back, yes. I would captain Mbappe over Gyökeres, but to be fair, I might be wrong about that. In terms of form, there's only one clear winner. Best nailed on 6 million midfielder. I'll name you a few. Del Castillo at 5.5 is an attacking option on penalties for his club, Brest. He scored a goal over the weekend against Paris Saint-Germain. You've also got Joshua Kimmich, who's probably the best over the course of the season. Best 5 million defender, Schlotterbeck is probably the best. Should I use Edison 6 million? I probably wouldn't. He has been a good UCL fantasy option over the years and better than in FPL, but I'd rather go elsewhere. I think Raya offers better value, not to mention the 4.5 million goalkeepers I highlighted like Blažević, Schmeichel, and also Di Gregorio, who I think could be the best of the lot in terms of value. I think Timber will start for Arsenal, but as I mentioned earlier, he's not the most nailed on for the entire league phase. Once Calafiori, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, and Tierney are back, Arsenal are stacked at left back, and they could easily play one of those players and have Timber rested for the Premier League. Best 4 million defender, Beraldo would be up there. Also Piatkowski, who might just about edge it over the long term. There's also a few others, to be fair, that are escaping my mind, but there are quite a few to consider. I'd probably go for Piatkowski at the moment. Elise, Wirtz, Adeyemi, or Federico Valverde? Florian Wirtz. As a duo, still I'd go for Elise and Wirtz. Best family and defenders I've covered, so Schlotterbeck, Kim Min-jae. I also like the 4-point family and defenders like Kubarsi. I've covered this. Thorson, Gaino Bittens, decent. He's got a lot of potential, but I just think there are better options elsewhere. I'm not going for him at the moment. Pedro Goncalves or Elise? I'd go for Pedro Goncalves. Well, PSG might be overlooked, but have you seen their fixtures? It's really tough. They've got arguably the toughest set of league phase opponents of any team. Jennifer says Mbappe and Goncalves or Salah and Gyökeres or Bellingham and Gyökeres. Well, if money is no issue for you, I'd probably go for Goncalves and Salah. But it all depends on your structure. If you go for Salah, who would you go for up front? You know, and if you go for Mbappe, who would be the replacement? You know, there's a lot of questions to be asked, but as a duo in isolation, it's very, very close, but I'd say Salah and Gyökeres. Opinions on David Raum and Henriks. Decent options, but I'm not as infused about David Raum as I was last year or the year before that. 2 men, 14 million midfield. That's a good question. I think maybe Pedro Goncalves and Kimmich would be two very good choices. Another possibility would be Elise, actually. Elise and Pedro Goncalves could really work well, and you've got a million to spare. So, yeah, that looks pretty good. I just think Kimmich will outscore Elise over the course of the season, or at least he's more nailed on. Opinion on Luis Diaz. Good option, but I think there are better elsewhere, like Rafinha, Yamal, Florian Wirtz. Goncalves or Valverde? Goncalves. Do you think Gavardio plays a more attacking role? He hasn't really done so this season, only in the second half against Brentford when he was subbed on for Rico Lewis, and that's because Grealish and Walker were on the pitch. And when Rico Lewis isn't there, that gives Gavardio more license to bomb forward. So it really depends on that. And a lot of lineups do have Rico Lewis in there. So if that's the case, I don't think Gavardio will play that offensively. I've covered this multiple times, mate, in all my videos and today. So at 4.5 million, you've got Di Gregorio from Juventus, you've got Blazwich and Schmeichel. They're the top three for me. And you've also got one 4 million goalkeeper who will start in matchday 1 in Franco Israel, as pointed out by a viewer. Why not go for Anton instead of Schlotterbeck and save 0.5 million? It is a possibility for me. And I did mention this earlier. I might end up doing that myself. I think Schlotterbeck will get more points though. Yeah, Gakpo is expected to start today. Thank you for that, Herman. Let me know where you saw that. I'd always be a bit careful where you see a piece of information. There are a lot of, things going, a lot of, I'd say probably maybe frauds, you could say. People looking for attention, clout. They might delete it if they get it wrong and stuff. But just be very careful with that sort of thing. By the way, what I'm going to do is gift 5 memberships now. And for those that end up getting rewarded it, go to my YouTube channel membership page, the community tab, and you can see what my squad is looking like at the moment, because what you see on screen isn't my current team, just to make that very clear. So you'll be able to see that and the Translips podcast very early on. So I'm going to give 5 now, and then another 5 at the very end when the deadline has passed and most people will be going. For those that stay, 5 of you will be allocated channel memberships for free for an entire month. So let's see if I can get this to work now. That would be ideal. And thank you to those that pointed out the YouTube stuff, by the way, the chat overlay, which wasn't working earlier. And we were able to sort that out quite quickly. We've almost got 1,000 people watching, so thank you very much, especially to those that liked the video already. Be sure to do so if you haven't done. Let's try to get this to over 500 likes, and we're also aiming to get to 28,000 subscribers by the end of today. We're only a few hundred away from that milestone, and we've made some big progress towards the end. Now, just to be clear, I cannot gift, well, I can gift 5 memberships, but I can't choose who gets them. So bear that in mind. And for some reason, the chat is freezing when I'm trying to gift the membership. So it will be done eventually once this isn't bugging out, but not sure why it's not working. I also tried to do it earlier and it seemed buggy, so to speak. I might try it on my phone and see if I can do it there, but I don't think I've ever had success doing it on my phone. So I do apologize for it, but yeah, YouTube is kind of acting up a little bit today. If you see any problems on your end in terms of, latency and stuff like that, be sure to let me know. It might be a YouTube issue. Let's see if I can gift it here. Yeah, it's not letting me at the moment. It isn't, which is very frustrating. I'll try to get back to this very soon. Thank you to those that liked just now. We got over to 200. Let's now get to 500, as mentioned earlier. And thank you to a new channel member in Toronto, Tokyo. Thank you very much for becoming a captain. Massively appreciated. And like I said, as soon as I can, I will give 5 memberships for free now, and then 5 towards the end for those that stay when most people go. Let's go back to your questions and whiz through these. Thank you, Crown and FXIZ Goat, but like I said, I can't get it to work. I don't know why it's not working. I'm not trying to, I don't want to say something maybe inappropriate, but I don't know why it's not working. Let's put it that way. Okay. Let's get this chat back up. Suggest to me 2 midfielders and 14 million. I did cover this, mate. And once again, I need to refresh this because this bloody thing has been very weird today. Just as I mentioned that we fixed the overlay problem, it's happened again. Ironic? I think not. Don't worry, I'll be getting back to your questions in just a jiffy. It might just take a little while for this to work again. So yeah, for 14 million, Pedro Goncalves and Elise would be right up there for me. Saliba or Carvajal? Saliba. Opinion on Koundé being worth the extra 1 million over Kubarsi? Possibly. The thing is, the extra 1 million can go a long way to bolstering your squad, and at 5.5 million, you've got plenty of alternatives like Saliba, Grimaldo, Carvajal, Gvardiol, and even Trent for 0.5 million more. So I'd rather go for Kubarsi to cover Barcelona defensively, but I do see where you're coming from. It is worth asking. Thank you, Alex Leadham. As he says, no caps, quick repeats and spamming, and you're all good to go. This is not my current team, Crown. If you see my team selection and the drafts, you'll have a good idea of what my team is like. Just to be clear, I've only made a few changes from the team selection. Thoughts on Trubin, Benfica's goalkeeper? Not really too enthused about that, to be honest. I'd rather go for Schmeichel, Blažević, and Di Gregorio. No matter what you do with your goalkeepers, be careful about rotation. And what I mean by that is the dates they play in. And one of the best combos you can go for is the Juventus goalkeeper with Blažević. They play on different days for the first 7 game weeks until matchday 8, where it's inevitable that everyone plays at the same time. Mbappe over Vinicius would be my answer. Best 7.5 million mid. I think Wirtz and Rafinha are better than Diaz. So I'd probably say Wirtz from those you don't have. Rodgers, Wirtz and Gyökeres, or Kimmich, Barcola and Boniface. That's a great question. I like Barcola a lot for matchday 1. I am concerned beyond that though. I'd probably go for the first trio. I think Rodgers is a bit of an iffy one. He hasn't been great in FPL. Just turned 2 years membership. Jesus, how quick has that gone? That is true, Alex. I thought it was only a year or so. So thank you very much for being a member for that long. I will be shouting out all the members and patrons very soon. And hopefully I can get the thing to work as well. I don't want to mess around with this too much because I've had issues with the chat earlier as well in terms of the overlay. Kimmich or Del Castillo? I think Kimmich long term. Del Castillo is very good though at 5.5 million as a budget enabler. I'll show my team towards the end, probably close to the deadline. Like I said, I'm trying to prevent copying because some people just want to copy every single move. They copy the wildcard team or my matchday 1 squad and every single transfer I make. I'm trying to prevent that if possible. Shame the Sporting keeper plays on the 17th. Yeah, that is a big shame. Just like the Juventus one, so you can't go for that combination in particular. If you are going for Di Gregorio, go for Blažević as the other option. Thank you for the super chat, Ahmed. Massively appreciate as always. Hey Dylan, happy UCL day to you, my friend. Thanks for all your hard work as always. Great stuff and start of the year with content for both FPL and UCL Fantasy. Very kind words from you, Ahmed, and it's always great to talk to you. If you've got any questions, let me know. You don't need to send another super chat. That is already more than enough. Thank you very much for the kind words and good luck for the new season. I hope to see you in the upcoming deadline streams for UCL Fantasy and FPL. Thank you, Carlos, as well. You put your squad. Hola, crack. Di Gregorio, Blažević, Grimaldo, Kubarsi, Schlotterbeck, Beraldo, Saliba, Goncalves, Yamal, Wirtz, Barcola, Del Castillo, Haaland, Mbappe, Kane. ¿Qué cambiarías? Me gusta mucho tu equipo, te digo la verdad. Los dos arqueros juegan en diferentes días. Para las 7 primeras jornadas está muy bien eso. Beraldo está bien para 4 millones, pero no me gustan los partidos para Paris Saint-Germain. Para mí no van a tener muchas vallas invictas, así que es un posible problema, pero cuesta 4 millones. Te digo la verdad, no tengo mucho para decir en vez de como sugerir algo para cambiar. Me gusta mucho tu equipo. Quizás Beraldo, si puedes mejorarlo, pero te digo la verdad, estoy, como decimos en inglés, nitpicking. Es muy bueno el equipo. Así que Beraldo es mi única duda. Y Barcola me gusta mucho para la jornada 1, pero después tiene partidos muy difíciles, como Beraldo, en contra Arsenal, que también va a ser medio duro. Voy a pensar en qué más puedo sugerir porque quiero encontrar algo para mejorar tu equipo. Gracias por el super chat y sí, te digo la verdad, me gusta mucho tu equipo. Es muy parecido a lo que tengo yo en este momento. Hi Dylan, Savinho, good option. He's been a good signing for Man City, but UCL fantasy-wise, I could see rotation. I don't want to go there. The only City option offensively I'd really recommend is probably Erling Haaland at the moment. Are you sure about Lewis? I'm probably not going to go for him, to be quite honest with you. Like I said, what you see on screen is not my current squad. There are some good options, but it's not my current squad. Thank you very much, Godson. As he says, try to keep it respectful. Anything, kind of, you know what's wrong. Anything kind of inappropriate will be dealt with. Barcola or Elise? I'd probably go for Barcola, especially for Matchday 1, but they're both great options. Mbappe or Vinicius? I've been asked this a lot as well. Mbappe is probably the one. Lookman or Goncalves? I also think Arsenal at home is a very tough game. Thank you very much, Carlos. Gracias a vos también. Jude versus Valverde versus Simmons versus Bernardo versus Savio versus Foden versus Grealish versus Doku. Jesus. Bellingham would be the best, in my opinion. Villa lineup out on the UCL app. Thank you, Sudindra. We'll be going into that now, if possible. Hopefully it's actually here. Yes, it is out. So, and it's also here. Thank you very much for that. So, we'll see the official formation very soon, but Martinez is in goal. We've got Konsa, McGinn, Tielemans, Watkins, Luka Dean, Pau Torres, Anana, Bogard, Rogers and Ramsey. No Maatsen again. Surely he starts at the weekend in the Premier League. So I think for those that went for Luka Dean in FPL, this is very concerning to see the Frenchman start tonight. I think Villa can get a big win here against Young Boys. There might be a few nerves, being in the Champions League for the first time in many years, but I think they'll get the job done, and Aston Villa could put Young Boys to the sword. Let's see Juventus, by the way. Di Gregorio starts. Like I mentioned, we were always going to get the Juventus lineup, so it's good to see that he's in the starting 11. He will be the number one for Juventus this season after a terrific campaign with Monza last year. Bremer, Gatti, who is the captain, Locatelli, Koopmeiners, Vlahovic, Yildiz, who is a decent option. He has been mentioned a lot in the live chat. Nico Gonzalez from Argentina, Kalulu, McKennie, and Cambiaso, who I was also asked about today. He starts as well, and PSV have also got their lineup. I think they can have some decent options, especially later in the league phase, but you would fancy Juventus to get the victory here, but it might be a very competitive game, actually. So the lineups are out. I'll keep this on for a little bit longer, so once we can see the formations for both sets of teams here, Juventus, PSV, and Young Boys and Aston Villa. So the big news is that Luka Dean starts over Maatsen. Sell the Dutchman if you can. Maatsen is only going to come on as a substitute, and the Juventus goalkeeper Di Gregorio starts for Juventus. He is one of the best goalkeepers in the game. We have got over 1,000 people watching, so thank you very much for your support. Let's get this stream to 500 likes, and let's also get to 28,000 subscribers. I think, yeah, we're literally just under 400 away now, so if we can get to 28k, it would be massively appreciated. Thank you to those that have subscribed already. I'm going to attempt again to gift memberships, but I don't know why. It literally just keeps loading. I've never seen this happen before, so I might have to use a different browser. I'll try that. I'm going to try that now. Hopefully it doesn't cause any lag or anything. Give me a second, and hopefully I can gift 5 memberships now to you viewers. So let's get this up. Going to try this very quickly and then get back to your questions, I promise. Later on, as I mentioned, I'll show you my team But no matter what you do, I'd highly encourage you not to copy anybody's team. It's, for me, not as fun. And also, you don't become a better UCL Fantasy manager by copying. Yeah, I think it's a YouTube problem. It literally doesn't let me gift memberships. And yeah, Victor, I can't choose who gets gifted them. I can't. It's YouTube who decide. And unfortunately, YouTube are deciding I can't gift them in the first place because it's literally just loading constantly. So hopefully that is sorted by the end of the stream, but it is a bit annoying since I wanted to gift 5 already. Opinions on Salzburg's Oscar Gloku? Not much of an opinion, to be honest. And with Salzburg, I do have Blazwich at the moment, but yeah, I'm not really looking at him over the other options at a similar price, to be honest with you. I like that for the first 3 match days, Alexis. A double Borussia Dortmund defense is something I had in one of my drafts, so it's definitely viable. But once they face Real Madrid, get off that train as soon as possible. I think Kane is better than Vinicius for match day 1. Longer term, it's more difficult, but I'd probably go for Harry Kane again. What teams am I targeting? Great question. I'd say Real Madrid, Man City, but then again with Man City, it's mainly Erling Haaland, and after that, it's difficult to get the second and third, but they've got great fixtures. I think Arsenal is another one, Liverpool if possible, but I currently have no Liverpool assets, which I want to change. I've got 2 Leverkusen players, as mentioned in my team selection, so those are the sorts of teams I'm really targeting. So Andres says drop 1, basically. I'd probably drop Brandt and go for Musiala and Florian Wirtz. I would captain Kane, but it's up to you there. Gnabry is good. Yeah, he's decent, but I'd rather go elsewhere. Yeah, Roger starts, but that's also bad news for those that own him in FPL. So very interesting times ahead. KDB or Bellingham? Bellingham. I don't even know if KDB starts. Maybe I'm wrong. But let's put it into context. De Bruyne started every game this season for club and country. 90 minutes over the international break in both matches. He played against Brentford. You've got Arsenal at the weekend just a few days after Inter Milan. I'm not sure if he starts. I think Foden comes in for him. Elise, Mbappe or Musiala, Watkins? Great question. I'm personally going to go for Elise and Mbappe. I like Watkins a lot for today, though. He could cause absolute havoc, but I'd rather go for the first duo. Yeah, Caballao, that is true. The Colombian left-back, who's 4.5 million, doesn't start. I have mentioned him as a possible option, but he wasn't in any of my drafts. Don't go for Cabal as well. You're right to mention that. Thank you, John G. Smash the like button. Thank you very much for your kind words. Hi, Dylan. Who would be your first choice for goalkeeper if you have already selected Schmeichel? Probably Blazwich, but if I'm not mistaken, there could be a few clashes there with Blazwich. I think maybe in the first 2 match days. I need to double check that. I'll try to see if I can get that information for you now. So Schmeichel plays on the 18th and the 1st of October. And Blazwich, yeah, they clash on the first 2 match days, which is annoying. But I think afterwards, if I'm not mistaken, I think they play on different days, but I might be wrong about that, to be fair. That is a tough question, and that's why you'll see most people in the community go for Di Gregorio and Blazwich. Wirtz and Kimmich or Musiala and 4-point family midfielder, I'd go for Wirtz and Kimmich. I think it's worth it. Now, there are 4-point family midfielders like Kun from Celtic and Brian Hill, but I'd rather go for the first duo. Thoughts on McGregor? Thanks. I appreciate the chat. Yeah, he's been decent. He's 5.5 million, but I'd rather go for Kun, who's 1 million cheaper. And at 5.5, you've also got Del Castillo. Don't get me wrong, he could be a great option, and Celtic have been in fine form. They've been keeping so many clean sheets, winning every single game. That's why Kasper Schmeichel is one of my favourite goalkeepers. And if he didn't play on the same day as Di Gregorio, I would have gone for him over Blazwich. There's no doubt about it. But I think in terms of Celtic attackers or outfield players, I'd probably go for Kun over McGregor, but I think Celtic fans are in a better position to answer that than I am. Let's see what else we have. Stick to Saka or go Musiala? I think I'd probably go to Musiala or Bellingham, which is what I've currently gone for. Went to Wildcard, Dylan. It's covered in my chip strategy guide, which I uploaded on Sunday. Check that out if you haven't already. My current plan is to wildcard in the knockouts between match days 12 to 16, but there is a possibility I will activate it earlier if needed in match day 5. Maya and Raya. Yeah, that could work pretty well. It's all about the dates. So try to ensure that these goalkeepers play on different days up until match day 8, where everyone plays at the same time. And if they don't clash, I think that could work very well for you. But let me just check with Meyer. Yeah, he's not going to start. It's going to be Kobel, just to let you know. Kobel's the #1 goalkeeper for Borussia Dortmund. So, yeah, I would go for another goalkeeper there. Do you think Salah masterclass versus Milan? Well, AC Milan got the first victory this season over the weekend, but before that, they were in terrible form. And with Liverpool, it's the opposite. They were fantastic going into the last match, and then they lost to Forest at home. But I think Salah will do well against AC Milan. If I could, I'd definitely go for him in the midfield. The best front three, well, I mean, let's say, for example, we had the Limitless, which we don't. But if funds are no issue, I'd say Kane, Haaland and Mbappe is the best front three. But with the team balance and future match days in mind, as well as team structure, I'd probably go for a Gyökeres as your mid-price forward, alongside Haaland and one of Kane or Mbappe. And I've currently gone for Harry Kane. Yeah, I've covered this earlier, Alexis. I think I highlighted your question, I'm not going to lie. I think they're both fine for the first 3 match days, but once they face Real Madrid, get off it. ¿Qué piensas de Emre Can? ¿Vale la pena? Creo que está bien, pero para mí Anton, Ryerson y Schlotterbeck son mejores opciones, y también Kobel como arquero. Y con Emre Can, en esta temporada, hubo ocasiones donde lo sacan antes del minuto 60, así que no tiene otro punto para jugar 60 minutos, y eso es medio molesto. Y también hubo una ocasión donde estaba en el banco, así que para mí está muy bien para recuperaciones y también toma penales para Borussia Dortmund, pero no es mi favorito para Borussia Dortmund. Prefiero a Schlotterbeck y Anton. Luis Diaz an option? Yes, but he's not my favourite, to be honest. How about John Duran? He's not in the starting 11, but considering his form, he literally comes off the bench and scores a wonder goal against Everton. He's been amazing this season. But I wouldn't go there because you could honestly go for a similar forward or someone at a similar price. I know he's 5.5 million, but I'd rather go for Jimenez for 1 million more. You've got Gyökeres at 7.5, and the fact he's not starting is already a big put-off. I know he's been amazing, but he's not going to keep doing that every single game, even against young boys potentially. Who knows? I'd go for Barcola, Ulises, over Rodri. Rodri will probably get more points over the course of the season, including the knockouts, but for the league phase, especially in the early stages, I would go for Barcola. I'd say Yamal is probably the best 7.5 million midfielder. I'd go for Barcola over Rodgers. But yeah, Rodgers against young boys. Look, I can already see it. All the FPL managers who don't play UCL Fantasy or who don't have Rodgers in UCL, they'll see him haul and just start cussing him. I can see it already. But I'm going to go for Barcola. Captain Watkins or Salah or Kane? Harry Kane. I've offered 4.5 million defender options throughout all my videos and in today's stream, mate. So Kubarsi from Barcelona is starting every single match. Anton from Borussia Dortmund is another one. You've also got Gonzalo Inacio from Sporting. So those are 3 of my favourite options. Best 8 million striker? Gyökeres. Pick 2, Van Dijk, Trent, Grimaldo, Saliba. Trent, if money is no issue for you, and probably Saliba. At the moment, to be quite transparent, I'm going for Grimaldo and Saliba, but that's because of funds. If I could find a way to get Trent, I probably would. Foden or Bellingham for matchday 1? Bellingham. Rafinha or Wirtz? Florian Wirtz. Mbappe and Musiala or Kane and Bellingham, says FPL M. Zace. Hopefully I haven't butchered that. Great question. I'd go for Kane and Bellingham. Luca de Gabriel says, is it smart to go for Kane in the first match day then swap for Mbappe for future match days? I'm saying this because at the moment I have Bellingham, Mbappe and Valverde, and this week I may get screwed. I think all of them will start. Bellingham is expected to. Same with Valverde and Mbappe, of course, but Real Madrid haven't clicked yet. I think going for Kane for matchday 1 looks amazing, but I'm going to cast my mind back to a few years ago in FPL when I did something very similar. Of course, you can't compare UCL to FPL, but what I did was go for Harry Kane against Southampton at home, and I thought Haaland was the better option than Harry Kane. This was in his first Man City season, and in the end, Kane blanked against Southampton, or he might have got an assist, I can't remember, but then Haaland scored a brace against West Ham, and I regretted the transfer immediately, and I made the move straight away. But I think both of them have an amazing fixture this week. Kane's got the form, so I think that works pretty well. Just be careful about not booking in too many transfers with your Matchday 1 team. Rudiger or Carvajal? Tricky. I think Rudiger's better for ball recoveries, but Carvajal has the attacking potential. I'd probably go for Carvajal, but that's maybe the incorrect thing to do. I think Rudiger was better in Chelsea. He made so many ball recoveries there where he was one of the best defenders in the game, especially in the season where they won the Champions League. Danish says, evening Dylan, been a long time brother, good to see you. Mbappe and Rodgers or Gyökeres and Rafinha? I'd go for Gyökeres and Rafinha, but both duos look really good. Yeah, best 4-point family midfielder I've covered to death. I'd probably say Kun or Bryan Gil. My favourite is Kun from Celtic. Molina isn't starting for Atletico Madrid at the moment. I wouldn't go for him. And he's also not in the best of form. I think a lot of Atletico Madrid fans got on his back since the quarterfinals round of 16 from last year. His performance levels have dipped. Even for Argentina, he's been a bit kind of hit or miss. Bellingham over Musiala for me. In Matchday 1, I will admit, Musiala might outperform him. But over the course of the league phase and season, I think Bellingham is more consistent. Yeah, Del Castillo is an amazing option. I like him at 5.5. He's on penalties, but I currently don't have him. I didn't go for Madrid players this match day. It might be a regret. They've got 15, 16 I've forgotten how many Champions Leagues they've got. Yeah, they're going to go far in this competition. Probably at a minimum the semi-finals. They aren't clicking at the moment, but I think they will very soon. Yeah, you are right. Bryan Gil is... Bryan Gil or any family midfielder. Well, Gravenberch is mentioned a lot. I'd probably go for Bryan Gil, but as I mentioned earlier, Kun is my favourite, and I don't think I pronounced his name right. I'll probably double check that after the stream is done. No, I think Saka is still a great option. He's so consistent, and in FPL, he's one of 2 players who have not blanked this season. The other one, a certain Erling Haaland. So he's a very good option, but the problem is he's got Man City away on Sunday, and yeah, there could be rotation here, or a reduction in minutes at least. Best forward for 6 million, probably Duran. Would be right up there for me. But there's possibly somebody else I'm forgetting. I'm going to have a look now and see if I can maybe uncover somebody else. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'd probably go for... Yeah, I'm going to say Duran, but he's not starting today. We've covered the lineups already. So yeah, you can see now. Let me just show you very quickly. So Emi Martinez in goal, Luka Dean, Pau Torres, Konsa and Bogard, with McGinn, Tielemans, Onana and Ramsey, Watkins and Rodgers up front. So an unchanged team from the 4-0 victory against Everton. As for Juventus, just to go for it one more time. So the 4-point family and goalkeeper, Di Gregorio, is in goal, with Kalulu, Gatti, Bremer and Cambiaso, Locatelli and McKennie in the midfield, with Nico Gonzalez, Koopmeiners and Yildiz just behind Vlahovic. And then we've got the PSV lineup. They're a good team, but I think UCL Fantasy-wise, we're not too interested in them for Matchday 1 at least. So that's all covered. I also did a poll earlier. Let me refresh this because it's got more votes now. So I said drop one of these premium forwards, and 35% of you went for Lewandowski, and second place is Harry Kane with 20%. So those are the 2 that people are deciding to offload if possible, with Vinicius, Mbappe and Haaland being the most popular options, basically, since they're technically winning the vote, because this is a different type that I put here. So that's all covered. Juventus and Villa, we've got all that done. Cabal, the 4-point family and left back from Colombia, isn't starting for Juventus, so sell him if possible. The same goes for Maatsen. He is not in the Aston Villa lineup. Sell him if possible as well. Let's go back to my squad. The squad that I've got here on screen, it is not my current team, as I mentioned earlier. I will show you my my plans and stuff like that later, and those that are signed up as a member or patron can see it already. Thank you, Benji, for the super chat. Very generous. Retegi, Bellanova, Lookman overlooked from Atalanta because of the first fixture, great after Arsenal. Big up for the UCL Fantasy content. This is my first year back playing UCL. Stopped playing a while ago. I'm wondering why you took a little break, but it's good to have you back on board. And you are right to mention Atalanta assets because they won the Europa League last season. Lookman is electric on his day, but they haven't been great in Serie A this season. They did win over the weekend, but before that, they were in dismal form. So You are right. I think the reason why they aren't really looked at is because of Arsenal in Matchday 1, but they are definitely worth buying or considering from Matchday 2 onwards. But if I'm honest, I'm not really considering any of their assets now in Matchday 1. I would avoid them if possible. So, yeah, I think Lookman would be my favourite from the lot. But Retegui is decent, an Argentine nationalised Italian. He's got a few goals for the national team, even one over this international break. And yeah, he also has a decent record for Atalanta. So you're very right to suggest that. Some very good points made. But I'm not going to lie, I'm not really going there for Matchday 1. Maybe afterwards, though. So yeah, there is some spamming going on. I'm going to try to deal with it. But yeah, sometimes this thing is a bit annoying. Thank you, John, for sorting that out, because I literally couldn't do it. Unfortunately, it didn't even let me select the message, so thank you very much. Any spamming like that is just not going to be answered. Rafinha or Barcola, have your out already? For Matchday 1, I'd say Barcola. I think Girona at home is a great fixture. They've dropped off a lot from last season, and I like that diversity in your team by not putting all your eggs in the Barcelona basket, even though it looks good for the first 2 match days, admittedly. Dylan, what do you think about Szoboszlai? Decent, I think. He's a good player. He's created a lot of chances for Liverpool this season, but I just think you can get better assets for a similar price. So if we look, he's currently priced at 6.5, right? So you can go for Pedro Goncalves and analyse, who will start in Matchday 1, it seems. You've got Joshua Kimmich at 6 million, Valverde, not to mention Del Castillo, you know, the main attack for Brest, who's on penalties. He's scored a few goals this season. I'd rather go in that direction, to be honest with you. You've also got Barcola at 7, but I don't think it's a bad call. It really isn't. And I think Liverpool will be right up there. I think they'll finish in the top 8 of the league phase. They've got some decent fixtures, and even in the tougher ones, I think they'll do well. Yeah, best 4.5 million defender. I'll try not to go into this too much because I've covered it to death. I'd just simply say Kubarsi or Anton from Borussia Dortmund. Guerreiro or Kim? I'd go for Kim Min-jae for the ball recoveries. Felamendi's alright, but I don't think he's great. In terms of ball recoveries, I think Kim Min-jae's better. Also Schlotterbeck. I'd rather go for them. Saliba, if I can say that. But no, you've also got Grimaldo, Gvardiol. Yeah, I think those lot would be up there. Carvajal's decent. I think I'd probably go for Grimaldo or Saliba. Is the duo Gyökeres and Goncalves too risky? It's always a risk when you double up on a team, because if they blank, you run the risk of just kind of being a bit short in a way, because you're putting all your eggs in that basket, and if they don't turn up, that's a few players down already. But I think it works really well for the first 3 match days. I believe they'll beat Lille in match day 1. Luis Diaz should play, but it's not completely locked in. And also, you saw the changes that Slot made over the weekend. He might still be frustrated. He will want to change things and set things right after that very shocking defeat against Forest. Amigo, una duda, Adeyemi o Luis Diaz? Está muy buena tu pregunta. Yo iría por Adeyemi. ¿Vas a mostrar tu equipo antes de que empiece o después? Justo antes de que empiecen los partidos. Grimaldo or Carvajal? Grimaldo has more attacking threat, but I think Carvajal is more likely to keep a clean sheet. You are correct. I'm currently going for Grimaldo, but one problem I have with my setup is I've got a lot of players on the 19th of September, and that's something I may want to change. I'll show you very soon, but it's a problem I've got with my setup. So I might end up going to Carvajal in the end for that very reason, but I think Grimaldo has a higher ceiling. He's a more exciting option, and with Real Madrid, they're not the best defensive team, really. They don't keep that many clean sheets, and some of their fixtures, especially late in the league phase, are quite tough. Liverpool away, I know they've got a great record against the Reds, but they don't keep that many clean sheets at Anfield, surely. Gakpo starts with a Jota? I hope so, because I've got a Jota in FPL. Yamal or Rafinha? Probably Yamal, but I did big up Rafinha from the very get-go of UCL Fantasy content. Vinicius or Kane for captain? Kane. Rudiger or Carvajal? I'm going to go for Carvajal. Grimaldo or Gvardiol? Grimaldo. Welcome, Manuel, mi hermano. Luis or Gvardiol? Es difícil porque yo creo que City van a hacer muchos cambios en estos partidos que vienen. Yo creo que los dos van a empezar en contra Inter Milán. pero después es muy difícil saber quién va a jugar en la jornada 2, 3 con estos partidos medio fáciles para Manchester City. Yo haría por Gvardiol si tienes el dinero. Grimaldo o Cambiaso o Saliba. Saliba. I think he's the best long term. Man City assets other than Haaland. I think Foden could be a very good shout. I still like him. Gvardiol's good for ball recoveries, and I think he'll start most games for City, even in the Champions League, but that could be a problem later. Yeah, JW are correct. Exactly that. You can change the captain between match days. So yeah, for anyone who's asking about captaining Haaland now, don't do it. Captain someone playing on the 17th of September, aka the Tuesday, which is today, and then you can change it during the substitution window. Anthony, I'm not sure about that because I've got a list of all the super chats. Okay, no, you are correct actually. I'm not sure why they didn't come up then. Okay, I stand corrected. So Anthony says Kane and Sabitzer or Gyökeres and Musiala. I have Haaland and Mbappe. That is tricky. I like Kane a lot, but I'm not the biggest fan of Sabitzer. Not gonna lie. Haaland and Mbappe, that looks really good. If I'm being honest, I'd go for Gyökeres and Musiala, mate. Apologies for the delayed response. For some reason, it didn't come up for me. I think my super chats have been a bit buggy today. So yeah, I apologize for that. If you've got any other questions, let me know. You don't need to send another super chat for that. Why Schlotterbeck over Ryerson? He gets more ball recoveries. I think Ryerson's good. He got one of the most points of any defender last season, but I think Schlotterbeck is a little step above because of it. Then again, with Ryerson, I think he's a differential. That always kind of appeases me when I'm choosing a team. If someone's got lower ownership, it does tempt me a little bit to go for that player. So don't get me wrong, there's not a lot in it, but I think the ball recoveries would probably make Schlotterbeck the highest scoring defender in UCL Fantasy this season. Let's get back to the live chat, which hopefully doesn't bug out again. Mids we shouldn't miss out on. You can't cover them all, right? But Salah, Bellingham would be two of the best. I like Musiala a lot for Matchday 1. If not, you can go for an Elise. You can also go for Pedro Goncalves. I like him a lot for the first 3 match days. So these are the sorts of options I'd recommend. I'd say Pedro Goncalves there, Jeneth. Bellingham or Salah? Long term. Tricky. I've currently got Bellingham, but if I had the funds, I'm not going to lie to you, I'd go for Salah. So that's my answer. That might be a big problem. Yeah, Cabal's not playing. I don't have him. Like I said, what you see on screen is not my current team. I'm a patron. Have you made any changes? No, actually, Alexis. I haven't made any changes whatsoever. ¿Tienes ya alguna estrategia para el wildcard y limitless? Sí, Carlos. Tengo un video sobre eso. Lo publiqué el domingo pasado, y en este momento estoy pensando en usar el limitless entre la jornada 2 y 7, probablemente en 3 o 4, y con el wildcard, si es posible, me gustaría usarlo en... yo diría más tarde en esta competición, así que entre la jornada 12 y 16. Pero es una posibilidad que lo voy a usar en la jornada 5 durante esta fase de liga. Así que vamos a ver, pero está todo cubrido y hablé mucho de eso en ese video. Thank you. Once again, I'm not sure why the chat is bugging out today, but thank you to Lastborn XBL for becoming a differential. Massively appreciated. If you do play FPL, you can also see the Transitips podcast earlier than anybody else. That will be published for all subscribers very soon. Emmanuel says, hola Dylan, ¿crees que está bueno incluir a ambos, Lamine Yamal y Rafinha? Creo que sí, y lo dije en algunos videos, pero mi problema con eso es la jornada 3 en contra Bayern Múnich. Eso puede ser problemático. What about Lucas Beraldo? Yeah, he's decent. He's fine. He does get a lot of yellow cards, and there is the odd occasion where he's benched, but at 4 million, you can't complain. He does have tough fixtures. That's the biggest put-off, and I currently don't have him in my team. I'd probably go for Kun over Maeda, but I might be wrong about that. I think I'm a bit 50-50 on it. Yeah, Nico, this isn't my team. Well, yeah, it isn't my team. Should I get Saliba or Gabriel Magalhaes for Arsenal, says Ricardo? I like them, to be fair, Ricardo. I think Saliba's better for ball recoveries, but Gabriel's got the attacking potential. It's very close, actually. ¿De dónde eres, amigo? De Argentina. Hi Dylan, Musiala, Wirtz, Kimmich, choose two to start. Florian Wirtz, and if money is no issue, then yeah, Musiala looks great, but I'm not going to lie to you. I think Kimmich offers better value for the rest of the season, so I'm probably going to say, yeah, Wirtz and Kimmich. As long as you've got a Bellingham or Salah in your team, otherwise, just go for Musiala. Yeah, 4 million starting defenders include Piatkowski and Lucas Beraldo. There are others, but those are the two best ones that spring to mind. I'd go for Kim Min-jae over Ryerson. Jude Brawl Stars puts his squad. Very solid team. I don't have many problems with it. In fact, my team is very similar to that. Emre Can is, been discussed a lot in this podcast. I wasn't expecting it, but he is on penalties. When he does start, he's a very good option on paper, but my problem with him is that he has been subbed off before 60 minutes on multiple occasions, and he also got benched very recently. Rafinha, Kimmich, or Musiala, Valverde? Very, very tough. I'd probably go for Rafinha and Kimmich. Kubarsi or Balde? Kubarsi. Welcome, Last Born XBL. Good to see you. If you've got any questions, let me know in the live chat. I currently haven't made any changes to the team I posted for channel members and patrons. Yeah, I'll probably get around to it very soon. Boca or River? Ninguno. No me gusta ninguno. Cambiaso or Ryerson? I'd go for Ryerson. Hey man, best family and defenders, please. If we're talking 5 million specifically, and I can't include those that cost less, then I would probably say Schlotterbeck and Kim Min-jae. The best goalkeeper rotation I can think of is Di Gregorio and Blažević. Possibly the fantasy football lad, but I'm not going to go there. Final thoughts on best 6-point family midfielder. I think I said it multiple times. Pedro Goncalves is probably my favourite. Yep, Valverde is a good option. Do you think double Madrid defence with Jude and Valverde is overkill? Not necessarily. I'm not a huge fan of midfield double-ups, and it does work well for the first few match days. So I'm currently not doing it. I've only got one of them, but I think it's fine. Is there 6 million options than Kimmich? Better 6 million options. Also, do you believe Arsenal keep the most clean sheets during the league phase? Great questions. I think Arsenal will be right up there for clean sheets, but they've got some tough games. Atalanta away, PSG at home. It's not easy. I think, if anything, City could keep the most clean sheets. I know they don't do it in the Premier League, but if I'm not mistaken, in the Champions League over the last couple of years, they have this tendency to keep those clean sheets in this competition, particularly in the early stages. So I think Arsenal will probably keep the second or third most clean sheets. As for better 6 million options than Kimmich, he's my favourite, to be honest, but you've got Del Castillo at 5.5, who's on penalties. Thank you, John, for moderating the chat. Any spamming like that will not be tolerated. Quick question, Salah and 4-point family and striker, or Valverde and Gyökeres? That is a great question, to be fair. I'd probably go for Valverde and Gyökeres simply because you have two good options rather than one excellent one and a kind of useless option in the 4.5. And with the way UCL Fantasy works, I'd go for this sort of thing. If it was FPL, I'd give a different answer. It's all covered, Nicolo. Don't worry. Like I said, I don't have Cabal. This is not my team. Is it worth the double up on Schlotterbeck and Anton? For the first 3 match days, yes, but just be wary of fixtures like Real Madrid. I'd go for Kim Min-jae, Roberto. I think Ricolos could be benched in future match days, but he will start in match day 1 for me. I'd go for Yamal, and Anton is a guaranteed starter, yes. I'd be very shocked if he wasn't in the starting 11 tomorrow. Tomorrow? Yeah, I think I'm right. Yeah, okay. I don't know why I bugged out there. Let's see. Let's do another take of gifting memberships. Can I do it this time? Let's see if YouTube actually want me to. They've been a bit jarring today. Come on. It's literally just reloading. I don't know what they're doing. It's a bit annoying. Oh well. So yeah, no changes, Guy. No changes whatsoever. Once I do make changes, or if I do, I will let you know. I'll say it in the chat. I'll say that I've made changes and explain what they are, just so that you are in the loop. Rafinha or Pedri Declan? Are you calling me Declan or... anyway, I'd go for Rafinha. Can't create my team. Can I do something? If you can't do it on the website, go to your app. Always try to have that backup just in case. And for everybody watching, especially in match day 1, I know this website rarely crashes, but try to lock in your team as soon as possible. Don't leave it for 5 minutes until the deadline, which I probably will do myself, and I wouldn't recommend that to anybody because you could be asking for trouble there. Let's actually go for a few predicted lineups very quickly. So one of them is Bayern Munich. We could see Neuer in goal with Sacha Boey, Upamecano, Kim Min-jae, and Guerrero, but another lineup I highlighted earlier had Kimmich in the right-back position with Pavlovic alongside Joao Palhinha. Elise, Musiala, Gnabry and Kane seems to be the settled front four. That should start against Dynamo Zagreb, but I think the biggest concern in the Bayern lineup is Sacha Boey versus Kimmich at right-back. Kimmich will start no matter what, and if Sacha Boey is benched, we will probably see Joao Palhinha in the midfield alongside Pavlovic. As for Liverpool AC Milan, these are a set of predicted lineups by Gazzetta Italia, and they've gone for Magnan, Calabria, Tomori, Pavlovic, Theo Hernandez, Fofana, Loftus-Cheek, Rečkovic, Pulisic, Rafael Leao, and Morata. Whilst Liverpool have pretty much the same 11 as previous game weeks in the Premier League, Tsimikas for Robertson is the only key change, but there are some rumours of Darwin, Gakpo starting instead of Jota, so that is a possibility, and I'd be happy as a Jota owner in FPL, but that is another one to consider. Real Madrid I covered earlier. Bellingham is expected to start. Same with Tchouaméni. These are massive boosts for Real Madrid. Is that Eder Militao there? Yeah, I think Militao and Rudiger are expected to start centre-back, if I'm not mistaken. As for Sporting and Lille, it could be Franco Israel in goal, a 4 million goalkeeper, so if you want to go for that sort of option, he could be really good for Matchday 1. Once the main option comes back in goal, though, it'll be a different story. So Gonzalo Inacio, one of my top recommendations at 4.5 million in central defence. He is definitely one to look at. Pedro Goncalves is another one I like in the midfield. And my favourite of the lot is Gyökeres up front. So, yeah, some very good options for Sporting. And that is the predicted lineups for both the Portuguese club and Lille. Let's go back to my UCL Fantasy website. Well, the UCL Fantasy website, should I say. I will lock in my team fairly soon. That is the plan. I haven't made any changes to what I discussed earlier. So yeah, compared to the team selection, I've made just a few modifications, really. I think he's decent, Nitin, but I'm not going to go there myself. I think there are better options. I might be wrong, but that's the way I see it. Sacha Boey's injured. Possibility. I did talk about a starting 11 earlier. That was according to the UEFA website, so probably a few updates that have happened since then. Yeah, it probably will be Kimmich at right back and then Pavlovic alongside Joao Palhinha. Ricardo says, hey man, so first things off, you speak pretty good Spanish. Did you study it? I speak it at home. It's not as good as my English. I'd like it to be. Maybe one day. And also tengo a Valverde, Bellingham, Kimmich, Yamal y Verts. ¿Cambiarías a alguno? Creo que no. Quizás Valverde para Barcola o Pedro Goncalves de Sporting, pero salvo eso, me gusta mucho esos jugadores. Luca Dean or Inacio? I'd go for Gonzalo Inacio. Carvajal or is that Ben White? Probably Carvajal here. But if it was Saliba or Gabriel, I might recommend something different. Sí, Bellingham sería titular. Parece que sí. Carvajal, yeah, sorry, I covered that. Is it okay to double up on Rafinha and Yamal? Yes. And I mentioned this in my videos as well. Frimpong is good, but I think Ronaldo's better, considering the form. Definitely Guerrero and not Alphonso Davies. It seems that way. A lot of the lineups I've seen have Guerrero at left back. Captain Kane, Haaland or Bellingham. Yeah, so Haaland shouldn't be in this debate because he plays tomorrow. You want to captain a Tuesday player. I'd personally go for Harry Kane. If he blanks, you can then captain Haaland tomorrow. And if he blanks, you've got one more choice and chance on the 19th where you can go for a Barcelona attacker or buy Leverkusen if you wish. Double up on Juventus or Trent, Di Gregorio, Juste this match day. I think I'd go for the other option, so no double up in Juventus. I don't think a clean sheet against PSV is guaranteed. I think Kane's better than Mbappe for matchday 1. Best defenders other than Saliba. Trent would be up there. Schlotterbeck or Anton. One of the two, I'd say. Kubarsi or Koundé. Once again, pick one. I wouldn't double up. Kim Min-jae is very good for 5 million because of ball recoveries, and I also like Grimaldo. These are the best defenders, I think, in the game. Maybe Gvardio and Carvajal too. Yeah, so no changes to my team so far. Once I make them, I'll let you know, and then if possible, I'll just, show you first with the pictures and stuff. But yeah, at the moment, I've made no changes. I'll probably start tinkering now a little bit. Yeah, just so I can finally lock in this bloody team. But yeah, at the moment, I've gone for this. If you haven't already, smashed the like button. We're trying to get to 500 likes today. It would be massively appreciated. We did it for the team selection, which is a very popular video, so thank you very much. We're also less than 300 subscribers away from 28,000. Let's try to get to 28k. It might not be today, but very soon, maybe for the Matchday 2 deadline, we will hit that goal. So thank you very much for everyone who's smashed the like button, subscribed, hit the notification bell, become a patron or channel member, the super chatters, you'll massively appreciate. Just having a quick look to see if there's anything on Twitter, any news or anything that I've missed out on. There might be, to be honest. There's like 36 teams. It's a lot to keep track of, but yeah, at the moment, doesn't seem like that's the case. So yeah, at the moment, it's all good. For some reason, the championships thing isn't working. I'm trying to give 10 today, but yeah, it's just not working. So that's a bit of an annoyance, to be honest. Let's see. All right, so back to your questions and comments. Yeah, haven't really seen anything new. Yeah, Ryersen's decent. I just prefer Schlotterbeck and Anton, to be fair. Not really a lot to separate them. But at the same price, I think Schlotterbeck gets more points. And at 0.5 million, I think Anton can keep up Ryersen or even outscore him. More essential, I don't think neither are. But I think Mbappe's more likely to be in my team. So maybe that's my answer, but I don't necessarily think he's that much better than Salah, to be quite honest with you. I think Salah will be good. Is starting without Arsenal Madrid players a risk? Yes, it is a risk, but, are you doomed? Not really. Carvajal or Mendy? Carvajal. Is having Vinicius and Mbappe in the same team worth it? Yes, but I'd rather go for Harry Kane or Haaland at a similar price and diversify your attack. Just downgraded Foden to Gonçalves and did Wirtz to Musiala. Fair enough. I think for Matchday 1, Musiala's better than Wirtz, but afterwards I'd probably say otherwise. Kane or Vinicius? Kane. Gonçalves or Elise? Probably Gonçalves, but it also comes down to this Matchday 1 versus long-term thing again. I'm going to stick with Pedro Gonçalves. Hey Dylan, Upamecano or Maatsen? Maatsen is benched. We covered the lineup today for Aston Villa and Juventus. I'd go for Upamecano. Kane, Kimmich and Kim, too risky? Slightly. I might change that myself, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of it, especially for match days 2 and 3, where they've got some tough opponents. Yeah, Foden has been a good UCL fantasy asset over the years. Even when he trolled me in FPL, like 2 or 3 years ago, he was doing the business in UCL fantasy. Yeah, Maatsen is benched. It's Luca Dean starting. If I'm not mistaken, because sometimes they put a lineup and then they adjust something. I'm just going to have another look with another website just to verify. Yeah, Luca Dean is at left back. It's an unchanged team for Aston Villa from the 4-0 from the 3-2 win against Everton. I'm casting my mind back a year with that 4-0 thing. I said it earlier as well, now that I remember. 5 million striker, there's not really anybody that exciting. I'd rather go for Duran if you can stretch to him at 5.5, but he is benched. My preference and recommendation is to go for a mid-price forward like Gyökeres or Boniface. Yeah, Vlahovic is decent, but I'd rather go for those options I just mentioned. Mbappe or Vinicius, Mbappe, Kane and Gyökeres of Gnabry, or Kane, Haaland and Mbappe. Probably Kane, Haaland and Mbappe if you can. Del Castillo and Kim, or Kun and Trent. Del Castillo and Kim. Close one though. Limitless in Matchday 2 is an option, but yeah, look, I mentioned this in my chip strategy. Anytime between 2 and 7 is when I'll likely play the Limitless. I'm currently looking at 3 or 4 for that chip though. That's the most likely. Would you agree that Grimaldo is better than Trent just for Matchday 1? For Matchday 1 though, I don't think Feyenoord or Milan, I think both of them are quite similar level teams. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think AC Milan have been particularly great this season. Yeah, it's a tricky one. If I'm being honest with you, I don't really think so. I think the fixtures are tough for both. Thoughts on Rico Lewis? I think you'll start in match day 1, but beyond that, I think there's going to be rotation. Kane is in my team at the moment. What you see on screen is not my current squad. I'm trying to prevent copying because some people just do that. Kimmich or Goncalves? I think long-term Kimmich. The problem is, Goncalves is a more attacking option and he's more of a talismanic figure for Sporting, but Gyökeres has kind of stolen his thunder a little bit. Yeah, the only 4 million starting goalkeeper, as far as I'm aware, is Franco Israel from Sporting. Probably Di Gregorio and Blažević as a goalkeeper combination, because in isolation I can say Raya, he's probably the best overall, arguably, but if you go for a Raya, who's your second option who will play on different days for the first 7 match days? And it's going to be tough. You're going to have to find out yourself and go for the best duo. I think the best one that most people can agree with is the Di Gregorio and Blažević. Have I missed a super chat again? I don't know why. For some reason, it's not coming up for me. Thank you to Mad Men at Work for the super chat. Massively appreciated. Let's see if I can get your message on screen. Yeah. So Simmons or Rafinha or Valverde already have Yamal. Simmons was good last season, and even in the Euros, pretty good as well. I'd go for Rafinha. I know it's a double up on Barcelona, and I normally advocate a, kind of diversity and kind of changing your team up a little bit, but I'd go for Rafinha, actually. Best striker for matchday 1, under 8 million. Gyökeres or Watkins, I think, and I'd probably go for Gyökeres. Carvajal or Trent. Trent. Salah, Saka or Bellingham. Salah, if funds are no issue for you. I will try to stretch to Salah myself, but I've currently got Bellingham. Opinion on Neves and Emre Can. I've covered Emre Can a lot, I'm not going to lie. To sum it up, he has been subbed off before 60 minutes this season, so that puts me off. He also got benched recently. He is on penalties, good for ball recoveries, but I'd rather go for other Borussia Dortmund defenders. As for Neves, not really interested. Could Miners and Wirtz or Elise and Barcola? Probably Elise and Barcola. Kane, Gyökeres and Mbappe or Haaland? That's up for you to decide, mate. I'm currently going for Haaland, but Mbappe is a great option. Mendy and 5 million defender or Carvajal and 4.5 million defender? I'd go for Carvajal and a 4.5 million defender. But then again, Mendy's not too shabby. I just don't think he's as good as Carvajal. And at 4.5 million, you've got plenty of options there. I do have Jude at the moment myself. Like I said, what you see on screen isn't my squad. Hi Dylan, Elise or Gnabry more nailed? I don't think either are nailed, but Gnabry might be slightly more. Upamecano or Kim? Why? Kim and Jai, simple answers, ball recoveries. Bellingham, Rafinha, Kimmich or Musiala, Barcola, Valverde? Probably the first trio. I like both of them though. Is Saka locked in? He's not in my team. Rafinha or Yamal? Probably Yamal. Alvarez is decent, but he was benched in the last game. Then he scored in the 94th, 95th minute, but I'd rather go for Gyökeres, Boniface and other mid-price forwards. I think Inter Milan's defence will pocket Haaland. I hope so. I'll bring him in matchday 2. That's absolutely fair enough, but with the form Haaland's in, it's so difficult to back against him, and you've only got 2 free transfers for matchday 2, and you don't want to book in too many transfers, if possible. Petros, I did cover your question, so don't spam the chat, please, otherwise you will be timed out. Is Gavadio going to play? I think so. Koundé or Kubarsi? If money is no issue, I think Koundé scores more points, but I'm going to take the value into account and say Kubarsi. Wirtz or Barcola? Florian Wirtz. Thoughts on the new format? I'll probably leave this, I'll give it a go and then give my opinion, but on the face of it, I think more games isn't a good thing. We've already got a very congested fixture schedule, and adding more games is only going to increase the number of injuries. Yeah, teams will make bigger use of their squads, which is good for the fringe players, but I'm not so sure, to be honest. I'm skeptical. Raya and Di Gregorio. Once again, I like both goalkeepers a lot, but it is a lot of money in this position, and do they clash on certain days? And I believe they do. Now, if that coincides with your chip strategy of limitless and wildcard in the league phase, then fair enough. It could work perfectly, but yeah, I think they will clash, if I'm not mistaken, in the first 7 match days, which you don't want. What do you think of Kobel and Raya rotation? If I'm not mistaken, so once again, it comes down to the dates they play in. So with Borussia Dortmund, let's see. Yeah, in match day 2, they both play on the same day, for example. That's the sort of thing that puts me off. So honestly, I probably wouldn't. Yeah, Cabal is benched, I know. He's not in my team, don't worry. Thank you, Carlos, for the super chat. Beraldo, Saliba, or Kim Lewis? That is a great question. I'd probably go for Kim Min-jae and Lewis, but I'm not absolutely certain of Lewis in the long term. And as for Beraldo, he probably will start most games for PSG in the league phase. Having said that, I think PSG's fixtures are terrible. So I'd go for Kim Min-jae and Lewis for now. Yeah, Bellingham should start. Yeah. Thank you very much, Miguel. You're a legend of the UCL Fantasy community, I'm guessing that says. Keep up the great work and may you have a fantastic rank. Likewise to you. Thank you very much for the kind words and all the best for Matchday 1. Rodgers is decent, but for those that have him in FPL, he's been very frustrating. Good underlying numbers, great performances at times, but it's a good fixture in Matchday 1. I probably wouldn't go for him because he's got Bayern Munich in Matchday 2. Yes, the league phase overall looks promising for Aston Villa, but I think there are better midfielders elsewhere. Haaland or Mbappe? I think Mbappe will outscore Haaland in Matchday 1, but overall, I'd rather have Haaland. I think he'll score more goals in the league phase. I'd go for Del Castillo. Witsel hasn't started much this season, if any games at all. I need to double check that. Once again, thank you, Godson. Kimmich or Gnabry? Well, Gnabry is a more offensive option. For Matchday 1, I think Gnabry will get more points, but over the course of the season, I think Kimmich will get the better of Gnabry, and Kimmich is currently in my setup. Mendy or Timber? Probably Mendy. Once again with Timber, I think he might be rotated later in the league phase once Zinchenko, Calafiori, and all these left-backs like Tomiyasu and Tierney are back for Arsenal. Upamecano or Kim? I covered your question, Petros, once again. Kim Min-jae for ball recovery, simple as. Kobel or Blazwich? Both if you can. Well, both if you can. No, that's not correct. Depends on your other goalkeeper. If you've got Di Gregorio, go for Blazwich because of rotation. Yeah, Kubarsi started every game for Barcelona this season. Grimaldo, Kim Min-jae, Schlotterbeck, Anton Kunde. Looks good. Not many issues with that whatsoever. Yeah, looks pretty good. Should I play Kobel or Di Gregorio? Di Gregorio plays now, so play him now. And if he blanks, you can sub him out for Kobel. If you're unaware of how UCL Fantasy works with captaincy and substitutions, check out my How to Play guide. It's identical to Euro and World Cup Fantasy. Molina hasn't started for Atletico Madrid. There's no guarantee he starts in the Champions League, so not for me. This is not my team. What you saw in the community tab on YouTube is my current team. But I'm going to see if I can make some changes now, actually, since I've answered hundreds of questions already. We are getting a few kind of repeat ones, and yeah, we're getting close to the end. Only 20 minutes until the deadline. Lock in your squads as soon as possible because we could see the site crash today. But yeah, I'm not going to lie. For those that know what my team is, I am looking to trim down my Bayern Munich assets. It looks great for match day 1, don't get me wrong, but it is an issue for match days 2 and beyond, I think. Bayern Munich will probably finish in the top 8 with relative ease. They won't need to play the knockout playoff rounds, but match days 2 and 3 look really tough. Even match day 5 against Paris Saint-Germain isn't exactly easy, so that is a bit worrying. So I'm going to see here what I could do with my transfers. Yeah, very soon I'll probably show you my team and I'm going to start locking things in, to be honest. But I've got a few doubts and I'll be curious to see your thoughts on my team, but try not to copy. And for those that do, I'll probably get banned, I'm not going to lie. Cabral Jesus, Gyökeres, Watkins or Nunez, says Paolo. I think Gyökeres. Mbappe or Haaland? Haaland overall. I already have Elise. Should I double up with Kimmich or go with Cup Miners for a differential? I don't mind Cup Miners, but I think Kimmich is better. Barcola or Valverde? Barcola. Lenormand is decent, but I think there is better, like Kim Min-jae and Schlotterbeck. Even Kubarsi, Anton and Gonzalo Inacio. Best 5 million mid, I'll probably refer you to Kun and Brian Hill. Gravenberch is not a bad shout either. He could get ball recoveries, but I think my favourite is Kun from Celtic. Maatsen is benched, mate, so Kubarsi is very simple. Hi Dylan, something different here. Bar or Antonio Silva? That is a good question. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, I think I'd go for Antonio Silva. He's actually very good for ball recoveries. Yeah, I'd probably go for Antonio Silva, but not much to separate them. They were decent UCL fantasy options in the past. Valverde, Szoboszlai, Rodgers. Who's the best one, Dylan? I think it's between Rodgers and Valverde. For Matchday 1, Rodgers. Longer term, I'd go for the Uruguayan Valverde. Best Formula defender is between Beraldo and Kwiatkowski. Best 9 million midfielder, Bellingham. Saliba, Trent or Grimaldo? It's between Saliba and Trent, I'd say, but probably Saliba. What are your must-haves? I don't really think there are any must-haves. But I think one of Haaland or Mbappe is close to it. If you've already got Bellingham, you don't need Mbappe necessarily. I mean, there's always this debate about coverage, which is a hot topic. But yeah, I don't think there is a guaranteed essential player. Mbappe or Harry Kane? I'd go for Harry Kane in Matchday 1. Best Dortmund defender? Schlotterbeck. Hey Dylan, double up on Valverde and Bellingham or drop Valverde, and for who? It depends what your budget is. I like Pedro Gonçalves, so maybe go for him and Bellingham. Who to captain between these options? Gyökeres, Salah, Watkins. They're all great options, but I'd probably go for Gyökeres. Yeah, Beraldo should start. It's not 100% nailed, but I think he will. Schlotterbeck. He's the favourite Borussia Dortmund defender I've covered in all of my videos. Kimmich and Diaz and 0.5 million on Musiala and Gravenberch. Close one. Probably Kimmich and Diaz. I just think it's a better duo. Musiala for a bit cheaper or Salah? Salah. We are getting some repeat questions once again. Anything like that is just not going to be answered. Mbappe or Kane captain? Yeah, Kane. Rice and Schlotterbeck. Pavlovic could be decent for ball recoveries, but I think there's better elsewhere. Hola amigo, ¿en cuánto tiempo mostrarás tu equipo? Sí, pero ¿por qué quieres tanto ver mi equipo? ¿Para copiar? Yo no recomendaría eso. Pero sí, entre poco creo que voy a mostrar mi equipo porque tengo que hacer cambios o es posible que voy a hacer cambios. Kimmich or Elise? I think Kimmich long term. For Matchday 1, Elise probably outscores him, but I've got Kimmich at the moment because of the long-term prospects. Carvajal, Gvardiol or Mendy? Probably Carvajal. Gyökeres or Mbappe captain? I think Mbappe, but it's very close. Salah, KDB, Retegui or Gonçalves, Lookman, Kane? I wouldn't go for an Atalanta attacker for Matchday 1, but it's up to you how you want to play it. I think Kun, Salah and Kane look the best. Jimenez is good. I covered him in my updated draft, so if you want to go there, be my guest. I just think Gyökeres is better. Bellingham or Salah? If money is no issue, I'd go for Salah. Predictions for Champions League winner? It's between City and Madrid, I think. Again, I think Madrid is my favourite. I said it last year. Barcelona would be in my top 5, but I think they'll probably win La Liga, and I think Madrid will do better in the Champions League. That's my current take. I think that's probably what I'd say. Player who scores the most points? I think it just depends who goes to the latter stages. So if City reach the final, I think Haaland scores the most points. And if it's Madrid, it'll probably be Kylian Mbappe, I'd say. Wirtz or Gonçalves? Florian Wirtz. Yes, I have done Predict 6. I'm not too fussed about it this season, to be honest. Thank you very much for the Super Chat, Haribo. Always a pleasure. Hi, Dylan. Looking to downgrade Kobel to a 4.5 in order to afford Van Dijk. Yeah, it has to be Blažević, mate, because in terms of goalkeeper pairings, the Juventus goalkeeper and Blažević is one of the only ones who don't clash in the first 7 match days, and that is so important. So, do I think Blažević will keep many clean sheets for Salzburg? No, I don't. But simply because he plays on a different day to Di Gregorio, I'd recommend Blažević. Yeah, Schmeichel's a great option. I think in isolation, he's better than Blažević. But because of that combination, the dates they play in, that's why I recommend Blažević to most people. Yeah, Ahmed, I covered your question. Not going to go over it again, mate. Haaland or Mbappe? Haaland for me overall. He might struggle against Inter Milan because they are a top team. But overall, I think you outscore Mbappe in the league phase. Hi Dylan, can Robertson be a good asset? Yes, but there are predictions of Tsimikas starting instead. Schmeichel's a terrible option. Oh, I'm not so sure about that. I mean, at 4.5 million, I think he offers decent value. He can make saves, and for club and country, I know it's weaker opposition, but he's kept clean sheets in 7 of the last 8 matches. But I do prefer Di Gregorio, that's for sure. Wirtz or Yamal? Yamal. Trubin, decent, but I'd rather go for Di Gregorio as your main goalkeeper. Valverde to Barcola. Yes, that's one of the changes I have made for my team selection, but it's not guaranteed to stick. Kovacic is a good player, but not the most nailed on. He's not going to score many goals this season. I mean, look at his goal-scoring record in the Premier League. He scored 1 last year, I think. He's got 1 this season, but I wouldn't go there. Dylan going template with his predictions. How far do you see Munich? Well, I said this last year, and it was correct with Madrid, to be honest, but yeah, Bayern Munich could go far. It just depends on the draw, right? And how they do in the league phase. It's a different format. It's tough to predict, but ultimately Real Madrid win most Champions Leagues in recent years, which is a bit boring, but it's the way it is. Why Frimpong over Grimaldo? I prefer Grimaldo, so if you want to go there, yeah, Grimaldo is in better form. I would recommend that. Double up on Sporting attack, or what was the other one? I didn't see the other one, I can't lie. Or Barcelona. Probably Barcelona. You've got Lewandowski up front, Yamal and Rafinha. With Sporting, you do have Gyökeres and Goncalves, but I'd rather double up on Barcelona. The only problem is matchday free against Bayern Munich, where they could really struggle. Kalulu or other 4-point family defender, Kubarsi, Anton, and Gonzalo Inacio are my favourites. Hakimi or Carvajal? Carvajal. 4 million backup goalkeeper, Franco Israel from Sporting, but he's only starting because the main goalkeeper's injured. That's literally it. Yeah, Cabal's on the bench, I know that. Don't worry, he's not in my team. He was never in my squad. Yeah, of course, it's not boring if you're a Madrista. It's the same that people say of Argentina. You know, it's boring on the international stage. They always win. Not for me. Guerrero or Kim Min-jae, Trent and Kubarsi or Carvajal, Saliba and Koundé. Kim Min-jae for me because of ball recoveries, and as a duo, I would probably recommend Trent and Kubarsi. Kimmich or Elise? Matchday 1 Elise, longer term Kimmich. Just depends how you want to play it. Luis Diaz or Salah? Salah all day long. There is no debate there whatsoever. We are getting a lot of spamming here, so I'm going to try and moderate this. If there are any moderators present, yeah, it would be greatly appreciated because my chat has been bugging out all day, unfortunately. Jesus, the chat is absolutely mental at the moment. So thank you to those that have shown support. We are approaching the deadline. Only 10 minutes left. Drop a like if you haven't already. Let's get this to 500. And let's also push on towards 28,000 subscribers. We are just over 200 away from that milestone. It'd be massively appreciated. We're making some big strides across all social media platforms, so let's be sure to do that. Jesus, yeah, we've got almost over 1,500 watching. That is a lot. So thank you very much to those that have shown consistent support throughout. Dembele or Lamine? It's going to be Dembele. Sorry, it's going to be Yamal all day long. I think my brain is fried at this point. Thank you very much, John Laws. Salah and Jimenez or Bellingham and Gyökeres? Bellingham and Gyökeres. Very good question, though. Best 5-point family midfielder? Del Castillo. Best 4 million defenders except Beraldo? Probably Piatkowski, and in goal, Franco Israel, who will start in matchday 1 for Sporting. Haaland over Rodrigo for me. Elise at 6.5 is a shout, but I think the best one is arguably Pedro Goncalves from Sporting. Thoughts on Gloku Dylan? Not really interested. I think he's decent, but there are better options elsewhere. Thank you, Godson. Massively appreciated because, yeah, it's been the chat is doing its own thing. Mbappe not playing. Not sure where you heard that, but let me know if you've seen that somewhere. That would be greatly appreciated because he is a consideration for my team. He's not in it at the moment. But yeah, just to reiterate for those channel members and patrons, I haven't made any changes. In fact, I haven't even had time to look at my own squad, so I'll probably do that very soon. Let's get to 500 likes and let's keep on pushing, like I said, to 28k. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Join the UCL Fantasy League. The code is in the description. and there's also an auto-join link. You can also leave a 5-star review on my Spotify. That goes a long way to support my channel as well. So, yeah, I think we're getting close. It's about time. I mean, no matter what I say, people will end up copying. Or some people will. It is inevitable. But my recommendation to everyone watching is not to do so. You can do even better by going for your own picks, and you become a better UCL fantasy manager in the process. But I want to see your thoughts on my team. And like I said, it's very similar to the team selection. And I'm going to make some changes now. I don't want to leave things to the last minute because this site could crash. I've got the app ready as well, just in case. So this is my current team. Let me know what you think. My biggest issue is having too many players on the 19th of September. It's not a bad thing necessarily. It's not like terrible, but I've got Wirtz, Grimaldo, I've got Saliba, Yamal, and Kubarsi. So it does reduce my potential for substitutions a little bit. I'd rather have a few more playing on the 17th and 18th. Maybe if you agree or disagree, let me know in the live chat. If I stick with Kane, he will probably be my captain, to be quite honest with you. And then Haaland tomorrow. And then on the 19th, I've got quite a lot of options with this setup. And patrons and channel members will see how my team will look like in terms of subs and the captaincy, all in all steps of the way, should we say. But let's actually go to the transfer section as well. And yeah, let's see what we can come up with. So, wait, did I just go to... Yeah, that's fine. Let's go to the transfer section here. And let's see if that's fine. Yeah, that's pretty good, actually. All right, so let me know what you think. Let's get to 500 likes. We have answered hundreds of questions here. Great team, Twisted Parky. Don't have many issues of it. Lucas Beraldo is not the best of choices, but for Matchday 1, a clean sheet is possible. They've got some tough games afterwards, but for 4 million, you can't complain too much. Neves, interesting. Maybe you could upgrade on him, potentially, but overall, it's a very good team. I have no real issues with it. And I'm a bit jealous of the fact you've got Salah. I might go there. Yeah, Sabas is decent, but I think there's better elsewhere. Your thoughts on Liverpool attackers? I think Salah's by far the best. Yeah. Kun or Rodgers? I'd probably edge it towards Rodgers, but that's mainly because of the Matchday 1 fixture. Barcola and Jude I'm not too sure about. Jude only just back from injury. That's fair enough. PSG ain't that good, and the other options are so much better as of now. Yeah, I do like Barcola in particular, though. He's been in great form. Only the 1 blank this season for club and country. Musiala for Bellingham. I think for Matchday 1, it works very well. The problem is, I've already got 3 Bayern Munich players, and that's already a bit of a concern for me for Matchdays 2 and 3. And Musiala's not the most consistent when it comes to goals and assists. The website ain't working. That's not good. Will Elise start? Yeah, I think so. We covered that earlier. He's in most of the predicted lineups. Lewandowski is being overlooked. You are right, but let's also put into context. Yamal and Rafinha are also viable in the midfield. And Barcelona face Bayern Munich in Matchday 3. Not to mention you've got Vinicius, Kane, Mbappe. There's so many options in the forward position. Gyökeres. It's difficult to fit him in. No, but I think AC Milan's a good fixture for Liverpool. It's not the easiest, and AC Milan have pedigree in the competition, but yeah, I see where you're coming from. I would like to have Trent. By the way, apologies to Paredes. For some reason, your chat didn't come up to me. I just want to say thank you for the content. Let's go. Thank you very much for the kind words. If you've got any questions, let me know of a normal chat. But yeah, I just covered it, so don't worry. Like I said, for some reason, some super chats have been kind of skipped in the chat right in front of me, and I don't know why that is. But I'm going to lock in my team now. We've literally got less than 4 minutes left, and I might make a few changes, but typically when I do this, it results in some pain. So Joshua Kimmich at home to Zagreb looks good, but Del Castillo is not a bad shout, actually. I don't mind Del Castillo at all. He's a massive differential, so I am considering him, and that could open up a few avenues for me, such as Trent in for Grimaldo as one particular example. I might even be able to change some stuff around here. Maybe it gets me closer to Bellingham to Salah, which I really like the look of. So let me know your thoughts. What would you do in this situation? Anton should start, yes. Kobel is a steal. He is, but what about your second goalkeeper? Will he clash with your first choice? Thank you, Martin. Always a pleasure to see you. Well, maybe they're not that bad, but Bayern Munich have a great record against them. 2 wins, 7 goals scored, 0 conceded, and it is Bayern Munich after all. Rogers, says Riyadh. I don't know. His performances or FPL output has put me off a little bit. Saliba or Gabriel or Diaz or Rudiger or Militao? Probably Saliba. Beraldo or Piatkowski at 4 million. Thank you very much for that. Big up to Indonesia. And there's people watching from all over the world. I've covered Emre Can already, mate, a lot. He could start, yes, but it's not an absolute guarantee. News is Bellingham starts as a Madrid fan. I will still own Mbappe because it's his debut for us, so the Madrid players will help him to score. Possibly. That is a good suggestion. Yeah, it's not been that good, but Del Castillo has a few goals this season. It's not too shabby. Yeah, overall, I don't recommend making late transfers. I've kind of had this locked in for the last day or so. I do prefer Schlotterbeck over Anton, but there's also the 0.5 million difference between the two. So it's difficult, you know, building the first team. But yeah, I do like this balance overall. Erling Haaland against Inter is tough, but his form is sensational. And I do like this kind of balance I've got right now. So let's see if I can maybe stretch to Pedro Goncalves. I do like him. I've got Gyökeres already, to be fair. But there's so many options in UCL Fantasy. Play it your way, yeah, you will be rewarded. I'm kind of struggling to make late changes, to be honest, because I'm quite happy with this team. I think the biggest issue is too many players on the 19th of September and triple Bayern Munich, which isn't great for match days 2 and 3. So maybe one of Kimmich or Kim Min-jae will make way. That is a possibility for me. Going from Kane to Lewandowski could actually really work for me in terms of getting Salah in the midfield or making upgrades elsewhere. So yeah, there's a lot to think about. There really is. I'm not going to captain Di Gregorio. I'm going to captain Harry Kane. I wouldn't captain a goalkeeper even in this game. Yeah, less than 1 minute left. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to make too many late changes. I just don't think it's ideal. I'm quite happy with this team for now, and we'll see how it goes. But if anything, you know what? I think I like Kim Min-jae against Dynamo Zagreb. That works really well. And even Kimmich, yeah, I think Kimmich is the one I could just sell a little bit. Then Grimaldo to Trent. Ugh. Yeah, late changes, don't make them. We've literally got 10 seconds left. This is something I would consider. Del Castillo in for Kimmich and then Trent for Grimaldo. But I think I'm going to leave things as they are. I don't want to make too many late changes. We'll see how things go. And we are pretty much locked in for match day 1. So kickoffs have begun for Aston Villa and Juventus, or they will any second now. So yeah, overall, no changes have been made. So to recap, Harry Kane is my captain for today's game, and I've got some backup options for tomorrow, like Erling Haaland. On the 19th, I can go for a Barcelona or Bayer Leverkusen attacker. But yeah, I think if I had more time to think about it, maybe I would have sold Kimmich, found a way to make that work, and sold one of my 19th of September players. But if we look at the balance overall, maybe we can do it here once this is refreshed. So yeah, we are locked in. As you can see, we can't make any more changes. Okay. It's not even going to let me toggle it by date and stuff like that. But so on the 17th, I've got 3 Bayern Munich. I've also got Gyökeres. So only the 4 players from today, right? Oh no, Bellingham 5. And Di Gregorio 6, to be fair. Okay, so 6 players. That's not too shabby. For the Wednesday, I've only got Erling Haaland, if I actually think about it, and Anton. And Barcola. Okay, that's 3. So 9. It's not a bad balance, to be honest, but maybe you'd rather have more Wednesday compared to Thursday players. Then again, you can't help the fact that Leverkusen, Arsenal, and Paris Saint-Germain all play on the Thursday. So there you go. That is my team. We are locked in. Thank you to those that have shown support. It is massively appreciated. Drop a like and let's get this to 500. Your support for the UCL Fantasy streams is always fantastic. And hopefully you enjoyed it. It has been a blast. Let me see now, there's still 1,000 people watching, if we can actually gift the memberships this time, because I've been trying all stream and it doesn't bloody let me. I don't know why. Yeah, it's just loading. I think YouTube is bugging out today, which is very, very, very frustrating. I can't stress how annoying it is because I'm trying to give 10 memberships for people. So Mauro went for Israel in his team. Okay. Kubarsi, Lewis, Bogard, Salah, Musiala, Bernardo, Celtic. Okay, some very good players in there. I will admit though, Mauro, Israel, once the main goalkeeper comes back, could be an issue. Then again, he's only 4 million. Rico Lewis is a rotation risk. Bogard as well, once Matty Cash is back. And you've also got Nedeljkovic. But yeah, apart from that, I think it's a great team. I'd just be a bit concerned about your defensive line. Yeah, the chat has been mental tonight. I even put it on subscribers only mode. And yeah, it's still impossible to read every question, unfortunately. But I did read for most. And I answered some questions, even multiple times. So it's all good. We covered all the main topics for Matchday 1. Dylan, I changed Elise and Neves for Kimmich and Sabitzer. Yeah, it's quite close between both duos. I think Elise will score the most points in Matchday 1, but Kimmich is better over the course of the season. Went with 1.5 million in the bank for more City players in Matchday 2. Yeah, I was actually considering something like that where I had 1 million or 0.5 in the bank. Well, yeah, I mean, don't be surprised if young boys score because Aston Villa aren't great defensively. Let's wait and see though. Bellingham is injured. He is even subbed. Don't really agree with that, mate. He's in the squad, and all the lineups have him in the starting 11. Do you recommend best captain for tomorrow? It's probably Haaland, unfortunately. But if you have some different players in there, we're talking about Barcola, maybe Borussia Dortmund attackers like Adeyemi. They could be decent, but yeah, I think Erling Haaland on the face of it is probably the best. Now, usually in UCL Fantasy in these streams, there are points or there are goals that happen just before I finish it. Let's wait and see. Yeah, I agree, Batman. Thursday nights for UCL, it just doesn't feel right, doesn't it? But with this new format, and they're not doing some games, stretching them across 2 weeks like previous seasons, it's what we have. Thank you, Gilberto. Sorry for the temporary butcher of your name. Rengifo. Good luck, Dylan. Keep being a great lad. Likewise to you. Thank you very much. Good luck, Safair. Good luck, everyone. Enjoy the fantasy games. Likewise, Wilfred. Good luck, Mick DC. Good luck to you and everyone else. Same with John Laws. And thank you, Bung. Thank you very much. I captained Salah by mistake. You're not done for. You've still got... Wait, no. Come on, you're really asking that question? He's playing today. I mean, if he blanks, so be it. I mean, you've got Haaland tomorrow, possibly, or you've got Barcola or these other options. Nah, mate, I think you're exaggerating. Will he be the best captaincy option? Maybe not, but I wouldn't be... You're definitely not finished. Yeah, the stream's buffered a few times and the chat went crazy. Yeah, so on my side, using my software, there's literally no drop frames. The bitrate is all good. But on YouTube, I did get a warning just before starting. Then it said the stream is healthy all day long. So I'm not sure. Maybe some people had some issues. I hope that's not the case. And thank you to those, by the way, that send in super chats, all the members and patrons. I will keep you updated with my UCL Fantasy and FPL teams throughout the season. And also to those that liked the video. We got over 500 today, and we still got over 500 people watching. The turnout for the stream is absolutely insane. So thank you for all the support. Thank you, Safir. As he says, smash the like button and subscribe. Yeah, so 28k, I think we're very close now, but we're going to have to wait another week or so. I think, yeah, we are 170, 80 away. So it's only a matter of time. We will get there. We've literally got 1,000 subscribers in the last day or so. So thank you very much. My only issue was Lewis, I think. Yeah. I do like Lewis. It's just beyond match day 1. It's going to be a problem. That is from last season in the Champions League final. So all the points you see on the left and the rank is from last season. I finished 837th. If I had 65 points already, I'd be winning UCL Fantasy. Let's see. Let's go through these last questions and comments and keep the conversation going. Kane, Haaland, Gyökeres, the dream trio. I think over the league phase, it will be the best in terms of value and structure. But you've also got Mbappe, Vinicius, Lewandowski. There's some really good picks in there. First time I backed Goncalves. Let's see if he rewards me. He has been a very good asset in previous seasons. He might play a more defensive role potentially, but I still like him a lot. What do you think of having Yamal, Rafinha, and Lewandowski? Great for match days 1 and 2. Far from ideal against Bayern Munich. Musiala or Jude? I've gone for Jude. I think Musiala will outscore him in matchday 1, but throughout the entire season and the league phase, I think Bellingham is better. Barcola to Rodri may be the obvious transfer for matchday 2. Maybe. It's just with Rodri, he's not an attacking option, is he? He can get ball recoveries, he can score from outside the box from time to time, but not every single game. So it seems like quite a few people went for the Sporting goalkeeper, who's only 4 million in Israel. Raya, Dean, Anton, Piatkowski, Grimaldo, Kubarsi, Yamal, Musiala, Bellingham, Del Castillo. Yeah, I almost went for Del Castillo for Kimmich. I have a sneaky feeling I might regret that. I could see Del Castillo doing well. Very good team. Yeah, I covered that, Danish. I covered your question or comment earlier. Que sea una buena temporada para ti, Dylan. Gracias siempre por tu ayuda. Gracias, Alava. Y buena suerte para vos también. Svein says, good luck, Dylan. Likewise to you. Saka matchday 3 onwards is an easy choice. Yeah, depending on the context, injuries, and also how Arsenal are doing in the league, but that's definitely a shout. Yeah, exactly. This is the only week where there are games on the Thursday. I think I said it once in this stream, but it was much earlier. Good team, the Fantasy Football Lad. You've got a few Juventus players in there, which is interesting. Di Gregorio and Coop Miners. I like the team a lot. I think Mendy's not a great option. I think Schlotterbeck and Kim In-jae are better, but you've got Kim In-jae already, and you've got Anton, so it's all good. And yeah, Coop Miners, I think there are better options elsewhere, but he might score today. He was a good option for Atalanta in previous years, and he could be a top quality addition for Juventus. Thursday night's UCL ain't it, but hopefully it means less big games clashing on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's only this week, as mentioned before. It's just a shame that Arsenal play on the Thursday when they've got City on Sunday, but you play with the hand you're dealt with. Thank you, Cold Clara. Gracias, Dylan. Buena suerte. Abrazo. Igualmente. Vamos a ver qué pasa. It's all part of money-making exercises by having Champions League on Thursday nights, unfortunately. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, Goldhead, this week, there are Carabao Cup games. I don't believe the Europa League or Conference League start this week. So yeah, no clashes. And beyond matchday 1, it's going to be no Thursday games in the Champions League, thank God. Thank you, the Fantasy Football Lad. Buena suerte a todos desde Colombia. Like I said, there's people watching from Indonesia, Colombia, all around the world, so thank you very much. It's always a blessing to have people from all parts, you know, every single different ethnicity, religion, anything you can speak of, race, watching, so thank you very much. Sick and Boy says, yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday next match day will be crazy. Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that very soon. Thank you, Chris. Likewise to you. Yeah, UCL fantasy streams are mental. Even World Cup and Euro, to be fair. There was a big turnout for the Euros this season, or over the summer, should I say. So thank you very much. What matches are you most looking forward to this week? Well, I'm not going to say Arsenal because they'll be biased. But I think Liverpool-Milan. I think Liverpool are the better team, but the fact it's away from home, great atmosphere, 2 teams with massive pedigree in this competition. I think that's a good game. I think there'll be goals in it. Man City into Milan might be a tactical battle, a low-scoring game, but 2 of the best teams in the world going at it, so I think that's another one. Can I transfer my 10 million Haaland to FPL? That's a great point. I think he's 11 million, but the point stands. I'm happy to own 1 Madrid player for matchday 1. Yeah, I think Carvajal could be really good. You know, a clean sheet is probable against Stuttgart, so we'll wait and see. Sorry, 10 million Salah. Yeah, still, you make a good point. Yeah, not the best defense today, but have Gabriel and Grimaldo in the bench. For Israel, planning to change after Game Week 2. Yeah, you've put out very well, Mauro. I was just trying to point out the possible issues you'll have later on, but you know them already, so it's all good. Brought in the Sporting and Atalanta goalkeeper. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, I think you're talking about Piatkowski, right? To Kubarsi. That is an upgrade, so fair play. I just don't see Atalanta keeping many clean sheets. They've had a poor start to the season. Arsenal at home is very tough. But I'm not going to lie, I think Atalanta can get the win here. I think Arsenal might have, you know, they might be thinking about the Man City game. They might rotate, and Atalanta are a good side. Triple up on Bayern will give us a great rank after matchday 1. Possibly. The problem is tough games against Villa away and Barcelona at home afterwards. Barcola and Gyökeres to score, Anton and Carvajal and Kim In-jae for clean sheets. Yeah. I don't have Carvajal, but they're good matchday 1 options. It's difficult to find that balance between things. Real Madrid official lineup is out. Bellingham isn't going to play. Well, that's already a flop from me then. And it goes to show you that sometimes you can't trust these predicted lineups. I'm going to have a look myself. Yeah, it's not a great way to start things. Let's see if I can find the Madrid lineup. I hope you're wrong, by the way. But yeah, I haven't seen their official lineup yet. I'm going to see the UEFA website and see if they've got something, but I'm not so sure. They do release the lineups early. Real Madrid have a tendency to do this. But let's see. I'm going to double check this myself. Is it on the UEFA website? Yes, nothing's been revealed, mate. So we'll wait and see. If it's a reliable source, then fair enough, but doesn't seem like it. Nothing's confirmed yet anyway. I went for Kane, Haaland, and Jimenez in the end. Yeah, looks really good, especially Kane and Haaland. Shane Goycre is no longer at Brighton. Never wanted to sell him, says Twisted Parky. He's been phenomenal in the past year or so. Not really, because a lot can change in terms of matchday 1 performances, injury, suspension. So I'm going to try to be open-minded, but I think a Bayern Munich player out is a possibility for me. If I'm not mistaken, I think that is something to think about. Dylan Drake, Lautaro Martinez. I like him as a player. He can be frustrating at times, but in UCL Fantasy, I think the matchday 1 fixture is enough to kind of put you off. But afterwards, I do like the look of him. It's just Lewandowski at a similar price tag is probably better. So Pedro should be read as Gonçalves. Yeah, I knew it was the wrong pronunciation, but I didn't really have time to check the pronunciation now during the stream. But I do like him. So Gonçalves, I think that is right. Like Gonzalo Ignacio. I did check a lot of pronunciations throughout the summer when doing my Euro Fantasy content. So yeah, Wasif, good team. Barcola to Rafinha in Game Week 2. I might do something similar. Just bear in mind that Rafinha will play Bayern Munich in Matchday 3, but if you're limitless, that's fine. Yeah, good squad. You're in a good place. Just bear in mind your goalkeepers are fantastic, but they will clash very soon in terms of the dates played. I don't think Israel is that good, only for Matchday 1. After that, the main goalkeeper might come back. Yeah, I'm not sure how bad the injury is. And he's a very short-term punt. I prefer going for 2 settled goalkeepers like Blazwich and Di Gregorio and have it settled there. No goals yet. Who's going to score the first UCL goal? Yeah, that's a great question. Who knows? I don't have the games on now. I'll probably tune in at half-time. Don't sleep on Atalanta defensively. I don't know. That's just, for me, they won't keep many clean sheets. That's the way I see it. Yeah, probably JP, and I hope so, because Bellingham... Yeah, man, I need him. Rad says, I went Musiala, Rafinha, Lewis, and Schlotterbeck over Salah, Kimmich, Grimaldo, and Anton. Did I make the right choice? Because it doesn't feel like it. We're talking about 50-50 calls here. Overall, it's very close. I'm not going to lie. For Matchday 1, I think what you've gone for could actually result in more points. Longer term, it gets trickier. I probably would have gone for Salah, Kimmich, Grimaldo, and Anton, but it still looks very good. I've selected Salah, Mbappe, and Leipzig defender Piatkowski. Yeah, I like that. It's possible, Safir. It all depends on how Arteta wants to tackle this game. It's actually a very difficult time to predict Arsenal. I got their lineup spot on for the North London derby, but for this game, it's very difficult because he might go full strength again, but you've also got Man City in 2-3 days' time. Highest chances for teams to keep clean sheets, a quick top 5. For Matchday 1, it would be, I think Real Madrid are right up there. Real Madrid. That's a difficult one, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I say Real Madrid and I don't even have Carvajal or any of their defenders. Bayern Munich, I think they're the top 2. Afterwards, I'd probably go for... Maybe Barcelona enter the top 5, but they'd be like 4th or 5th. I think Sporting could actually be quite underrated for Matchday 1. I think they can keep a clean sheet. I was looking at Gonzalo Ignacio for my own team. I think those would kind of be the squads I'm looking at. Maybe Borussia Dortmund, but it is an away fixture. Arsenal can keep a clean sheet against anybody. You know, they did it at the Etihad last year. I mean, who does that? Yeah, I think Arsenal will be up there, but not in the top 3. So yeah, I'd say, just to kind of summarize, yeah, I said the top 5 already, but mainly Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, they look almost set for a clean sheet, which probably means it won't happen. I'm wildcarding 3 and limitlessing in Gameweek 6. Yeah, I think limitless matchday 5 or 6 is a viable strategy. I did cover this in my chip strategy guide, so be sure to check it out. And the wildcard, sorry, the limitless I'm looking to use in, well, between 2 and 7, maybe in 3 or 4. Wildcard is maybe in the knockouts for me, but I am open-minded. Dylan will end stream if Bellingham is benched. Well, I'm going to end the stream at some point, right? I just hope I don't get bad news before. Otherwise, I'm going to be a miserable old bastard. So good to have Champions League nights back. Yes, yes it is. This is how I ended up. Goalkeeper Di Gregorio, Blazwich, Dean, Emre Can, Anton, Fela, Mendy, Saliba, Wirtz, Musiala, Barcola, Yamal, Haaland, Mbappe, Gyökeres. Very good team. Oh, Gyökeres. I can't be asked with his name. Yes, a very good team. It is. A few concerns about your defensive line. I don't think Fela Mendy's the best family defender. I think Kim Min-jae and Schlotterbeck are better, but you've got Anton, and you probably are put off by Bayern Munich's matchday 2 and 3 fixtures. Yeah, overall it's a good team. It's a good team. I've got wildcard 4, and I'm guessing that's limitless game week 6. Fair enough. Stuttgart is good offensively. Yeah, possibly. I mean, they finished second last season in the Bundesliga, but I think Real Madrid are heavy favourites for this game. Thoughts on going for Boniface over Wirtz? It's not a bad shout. It's just up front. You've also got Gyökeres, and I think Wirtz has had a great start to the season. I know Boniface has scored a few goals too, so I think it's not a bad shout at all. Yeah, so many 50-50 decisions, can't win them all. Exactly that. So even if it turns out terribly, and I hope it doesn't, it's just a start. And I think with the extended format, you could afford a slightly bad comienzo, a start to the season. But yeah, of course, you'd always want to get off to a flying start. If I keep saying that word, I'll probably break something. But yeah, let's wait and see. Who's going to score the most points in matchday 1? From those 3, probably Mbappe. Yeah, I said it earlier, probably Madrid or Man City. Last year I said Madrid and they ended up winning it. Yeah, I hope it's someone else beyond those two. You know, someone that people don't expect. But yeah, it typically is, you know, Madrid, Liverpool, Bayern Munich who win it. Barcelona maybe could get back to that stage. I think they'll be in the top 5 favourites. But yeah, Madrid are struggling at the moment, but I think they'll get the balance right eventually. Gonna sleep now and wake up at 3 AM to watch the other UCL games. Catch up with you during the FPL deadline stream on Saturday, Dylan. Wow, that is some commitment. Good luck to you, Sudindra. And yeah, get some good rest. I might get some myself because I didn't get much sleep today. Adeyemi, not bad. Is Salah the best prem attacker for UCL Fantasy after Haaland? Yeah, I think so. Wild take, Griezmann is the top scorer of the group stages. He's been a fantastic player for Atletico Madrid over the years, but look, if you're right, fair play. I just don't think it'll happen. Aranya puts his team, good stuff. I like the look of it. Adeyemi is interesting for sure. Let's see if Rodgers can finally do something this season. Gonzalo Inacio is a fantastic pick. I like that. Not sure about Konsa. Might keep a clean sheet today, but I just don't like Aston Villa. Defenders overall for clean sheets, but Konsa might get ball recoveries, which could make up for it. Yep, a lot of teams with that combination of Di Gregorio and Blazwich. That's absolutely fair. I like the look of it. Double Juventus defense, interesting. Happy with this, but no Real Madrid or Gyökeres. You can't have them all, right? You can't have them all. It's just as simple as that. But trust me, what you have looks very solid. Callum Jr. also puts his team, and very similar stuff. Gonzalo Inacio, same 2 goalkeepers, but Trent is there. Really, really good stuff. I like it. My plan was to turn Musiala to Salah in matchday 2, so I didn't go for Kane. Grimaldo is the one I feel uneasy to miss out on. Yeah, and that's why I was considering Lewandowski. And I think he's had a great start to the season, so it really works well budget-wise. Returning to the English Premier League, do you advise us to continue keeping Rodgers and Eze? that is covered in my Transfer Tips podcast, at least with Rogers. Bit of a spoiler alert, I did recommend them as a hold, and I'll explain in that, well, I do explain in that video why. As for Eze, he was a hold in the week before last in my podcast, and I said he's a buy going into Game Week 4. I think he's worth holding on to, but the patience is wearing thin with both of them. Yep, Calvert-Lewin is recommended as a buy, and Vardy is one of the best budget forwards, as I highlighted back in Game Week 1. So, yeah, that would be my answer to those questions, and I'll talk more about this in the FPL Deadline stream. There is a goal for Juventus. If you do have the player who scores or assists, then enjoy. So the first goal of the season is scored by Yildiz, who was mentioned in this video, and Nico Gonzalez with the assist. Wow. He scored in his last game for Argentina against Colombia. So he's in decent form, it seems. I was thinking of transferring in Salah and Glock for Barcola and Musiala out, but knowing how UCL Fantasy goes, I'd probably have to take out 2 injured players and take an extra hit. Yeah, that's fair. There's a lot of love for the Salzburg player. I mean, he is cheap after all, so I don't really blame people for going there. Yeah, it's literally 50-50 calls we're talking about here, Cyril. Kubarsi's passing and vision is so underrated, astonishing for a teenager. I mean, he's 17 years old, so it's very, very impressive. For Matchday 2, so Cyril, how would you price Gyökeres, Vinicius, Mbappe, Kane, and Yamal in FPL? Yamal, I'd probably price at 8.5 to 9 million. Harry Kane would be 11.5 to... Actually, you know what? I'd say he'd be 12. Yeah, Harry Kane would be 12 to 12.5. But it all depends on which team he plays for. Because at Spurs, he was always around 11. If he was at Man City, yeah, he'd easily be 12 to 13. Possibly even more. Vinicius and Mbappe, I think Vinicius would be 11.5. And Mbappe would be like 13. No, you know what? Mbappe would be 14. I think he would be. Yeah, I think that would be it. So Bellingham starts, but there's no Madrid leak today. Well, I saw a few lineups, and they all had Bellingham in it. That's why I went for him, but it might end up backfiring. Yes, you are correct indeed. I'm just hoping they keep a clean sheet. Voy a empezar a aprender español. Pronto podré ir a Barcelona. ¿Algún consejo? Yo fui a Barcelona alguna vez, pero no lo conozco muy bien. Para mí es muy importante ver películas, leer libros y escuchar música. Todo eso ayuda, incluso ver televisión y ver debates. Te acostumbras más a cómo la gente habla y eso te ayuda mucho. Así que eso es el mejor consejo que te puedo dar. Perdón. Is Trent worth 6 million? I think so. What a goal from Yildiz. I'll be looking at it very soon. I don't have the game on right now. I probably should. Hey Dylan, great deadline stream. Watched the whole thing. Thank you, Garner. Went for a double up on Yamal and Rafinha. It looks great for the first 2 match days. And by the time you get to match day 3, you could trim it down when they face Bayern Munich. But they could do well. Carvajal centre-back pairing alongside Rudiger. Really? Dylan, Madrid Extra put a team 2 days back with no Bellingham and Arda Güler starting. They did, but things changed over the last day or so. And all Madrid fans told me he will start. And I saw lineups with Bellingham in it. I didn't make last-minute transfers, to be honest. I just had this team from before, and I didn't want to have too many people copying me, so I showed it at the very end. And I've done this before, so it's nothing new here. Let's see if I can get Madrid's lineup. I really hope I don't see Bellingham on the bloody bench. Right? Let's get Madrid's lineup again. Oh dear. This is a moment of truth, isn't it? No, it still hasn't come out yet, but I really hope Bellingham starts, because that would be a terrible start to my season if he's benched. Let's see if Madrid have posted it on their Twitter. Yeah, Bellingham starts. Okay, we do have the Real Madrid lineup. Hallelujah. Let's go to the Real Madrid page. So Courtois in goal, Lucas Vazquez, Carvajal, Rudiger, and Ferland Mendy, with Valverde, Tchouaméni, Bellingham, Rodrigo, Mbappe, and Vinicius. So the predicted lineup I showed you earlier only had one incorrect thing, and that was no Eder Militao. He is on the bench. They put Carvajal at centre-back alongside Rudiger and Lucas Vazquez as the right-back. So maybe that reduces the clean sheet probability slightly. But good news there for those with Bellingham, like myself. He does start. Is it just me, or the UEFA Gaming app doesn't have the UCL Fantasy on there anymore. No, they do. You have to click on it, so it will say just fantasy. There might not be like a button as it was previously, but if you click on the icon, you will be taken to it. I chose Mendy because he's a very defensive player, so ball recoveries are there. Fair enough. I just don't think he did many ball recoveries last season, but it could be different this time round. Young boys dominating the Villa. Yeah, I mean, look, I said it earlier. I think Villa might have a few nerves in the first few minutes of the game, but I would expect them to win overall. Yeah, and Young Boys have had a terrible start to the season. 14 goals conceded, near the bottom of the league. So yeah. Anything says, what do you think of this team? It looks really good. Not a big fan of Vlahovic. He might score today, but still not a big fan of him. I think there are better midfielders than Diaz. But overall, it's a very solid team. I have not many complaints. I'm literally nitpicking. Tenías hablado en el stream que Yildiz sería una buena opción de Juve. Sí, dije que para mí está bien, pero nunca lo recomendé mucho en mi video, te digo la verdad. Y hizo un golazo recién. Así que muy bien para los que fueron para él. Yo nunca lo tuve en cuenta para mi equipo. Hoping for a Rodgers return. I still think if he gets in form, he is a joke for 5 million. Definitely. But he has been very frustrating. 2-0 Juventus. Oh dear, who scored? We'll find out very soon. Let's whiz through these. Ruler2 says, Dylan, how do transfers work here? Yeah, you get 2 per match day in the league phase. By the way, check out my chip strategy guide and my how to play. This is all covered there. Particularly for the transfer section, definitely refer to my chip strategy guide because that has the updated league format taken into account. The league phase is the only time you can roll transfers and have up to 3 transfers in a match day, but no more than that. You can't stockpile 4 or beyond in the league phase. Yep, probably the best choice to avoid mass copying. Look, some people hate it, but if I'm being honest, you know, one thing I noticed a few years ago is when I had my team out for like the whole stream, I literally went through like a whole list, like hundreds, close to thousands of people, literally the exact same team as me for like the first few match days. And some of them might be a happy coincidence, of course, but I think a lot of them were because they literally copied. And just to prevent that, I decided to, well, do what I did. And also it's one of the perks for members and patrons. So it's another perk for them. And I encourage those that had signed up already to check it out. Yildiz Sleeper. I did mention him earlier as I was asked multiple questions about him, but I didn't recommend him in my videos, only in today's stream. So yeah, Bellingham starts, you are correct. Militao has some niggles from previous games and Vasquez at right back. Yeah, it makes sense. Juve look very dangerous in the attack. I think that they should be worth considering, but not sure who. Juventus clean sheet in the mud, says FPL Onions. I hope not. It's still 2-0. And Aston Villa have scored. Tielemans with an assist by McGinn. Those of Watkins and Rodgers will be fuming, but it's only the start of the game. So despite Young Boys supposedly being the better team, that's what I heard, they did have more shots and a higher XG. Aston Villa have taken the lead. Not seeded team that probably will shock in this Champions League. Not seeded? Or are you saying not in pot 1, right? Well, no, not in pot 1 would still be too general. You've got Arsenal and Leverkusen in pot 2. That is a good question. And honestly, I probably won't give you a great answer. But if I had to pick one, can Sporting count? I think they could really surprise people. Salzburg could be decent. I'm going to go for Sporting. Yeah, Sporting, I think, will probably make the knockout playoffs. So finish between 9th and 24th and qualify for the round of 16. And they could even have a decent run in the knockouts. So, yeah, I think that's what I'd do. Wait, what? Oh, right. Okay, sorry, I forgot about this. Okay, let me close these. That's not my team, don't worry. That was a set of players I had, or that I showed that are some good options, but weren't in my final team. So here you go. Yeah. Don't know how long I've been on that screen then, so that's a bit annoying. As for Predict 6, I did go for 2-1 Juventus with Juventus to score first. I was considering going for a 1-0 Juventus. So, yeah, not much difference in points there. I've gone for 3-1 Liverpool, 2-0 Borussia Dortmund with the booster active. Maybe some regrets about not playing it on Juventus, but there you go. 2-1 Man City, 3-2 Leverkusen, and 2-1 Atletico, but I might make a few other modifications. I might go for a 3-1 for Borussia Dortmund, change Liverpool-Milan to 2-1, 1-0 to City, stuff like that. Let's wait and see, but I doubt I'll lock in all these predictions, now. It probably will happen after the stream is over. Yeah, definitely a relief to see Bellingham start, especially after seeing a few trolls in the chat or whatever happened. Hat-trick for Kylian, says Heat. I hope not. So yeah, Tielemans scores. Yeah, everyone saw it. McKennie scored for Juventus. And who got the assist there for Juventus? Let's see. No one got an official assist, but we might have seen a fantasy one. Don't forget Aston Villa are playing in a synthetic turf. Yeah, it's not the easiest, but with the golfing class, you'd still expect them to win comfortably. Yeah, Carvajal is centre-back, you are correct. UCL is Madrid's to lose. On paper, yes, it is theirs to lose, but football's not played on paper, and it's so difficult to win back-to-back. They're the only team to have done it in the modern era, but hopefully we get a new winner. Yeah, Yildiz, very good start. What do you think? Says Dims Una. Di Gregorio, Blažević, Grimaldo, Schlotterbeck, Beraldo, Ben White, Kubarsi, Yamal, Wirtz, Salah, Barcola, Del Castillo, Kane, Mbappe, Gyökeres. Great team. I've got no issues with it, really. Of course, after Matchday 1, Barcola and Beraldo are a bit iffy, especially Beraldo. But he is 4 million after all. I think Saliba and Gabriel are better than White in UCL Fantasy because of ball recoveries, but overall, it's a very good team. I took out Tielemans last minute. He's had a good start to the season, but yeah, he's not a great UCL Fantasy option. He won't get you that many goals or assists, so I wouldn't regret it too much. Well, I had Tielemans, Dean, and McKennie. Great start. Yeah, the keyword is had, so that's a bit frustrating, isn't it? I don't like McKennie, generally speaking, for UCL Fantasy. That must have been a sight to see, just seeing the same teams, says Batman. Yeah, I mean, I was just laughing. I was literally reading out to me. I'm like, mate, how is everyone having the same team as me? Leipzig to go deep again, maybe. Difficult to say right now, Mohammed. I think Kimmich will get a lot, but not the most. It's going to be difficult. It's not like previous years where we had a clear one, like Casemiro and players like that. I'm probably forgetting somebody. I'll have to double check. Yeah, McGinn assists. Rogers still point dodging, so nothing's changed, is it? Serial says first Juve goal Yildiz. Nico Gonzalez assist outside the box. Let me just try and get the chat working. Yeah, second goal Juve, McKennie goal, Vlahovic assist. Okay, so those were Vlahovic returned there, and then Tielemans and McGinn. Dylan almost got a heart attack with that team. Now, I wouldn't go that far, but I was hopeful that he started, definitely. McKennie's playing very advanced for Juventus. Yeah, maybe I'll eat humble pie, so to speak, but going into Matchday 1, I wasn't really thinking about him, to be honest. Went triple sporting with the obvious picks. What, Gonzalo Inacio? Or maybe Franco Israel in goal, Pedro Goncalves and Gyökeres. It's not Gyökeres, yeah, I get it. Hopefully Dean doesn't get sub before 60. Yeah, that's the hope. You can roll transfers in the league phase, not afterwards though. And you can't stockpile more than 3 transfers at a time. Yeah, has he got it already though? Has he got the points, Vlahovic, for the assist? I will double check that now. Yeah. But there was no official assist awarded. So Vlahovic, so far he hasn't got the assist, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, he hasn't got the assist yet. But if they were to award it to somebody, it looks like Vlahovic will get it. I hope FPL add Predictor in next season. Yeah, it's technically a separate game mode, right? But it's good to have all, in the same, kind of just have it all within reach. A bit like the FPL challenge stuff. 3G pitch just ruined Watkins, who was clean through. Yeah, but it's another circumstance, another challenge. They're professionals. They have to adapt to these situations. But the 3G pitch is dangerous for injuries. That's one thing I will say. People say Madrid is too strong. Had they watched them dominate 2013 to 2018? Way stronger than this iteration. Well, as good as Madrid were when they won 3 consecutive Champions Leagues, they won 2 La Ligas in 9 years. It goes to show that it's just different. A cup is completely different kettle of fish to a league. City and Barca look like the best teams in Europe right now. Bayern and PSG just behind. I don't think PSG are better than Arsenal, to be honest. And I'm not saying Arsenal are going to win the Champions League because I am well aware of the heritage that comes into it. And the same goes for PSG, by the way. I just think they're a bit cursed in Europe, particularly in this competition. As for the others, you might be right. They could be the top 3 teams. I'd also put Inter Milan in there. I think they're a really solid squad. Watkins fluffs a chance. Kayo is noob, puts his squad as well. Really good stuff. Not much really to nitpick. Just with Kobel and your second goalkeeper, ensure that they play on different days and you'll be fine. McGinn on corners. So doesn't Dean take any corners? I remember him taking some. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, actually. I'll double check this now. So I think for Aston Villa, I think McGinn is the main one anyway. Luca Dean is kind of like the secondary one. They share these direct free kicks and the corners and indirect free kicks together. So I don't think it's anything new. Any Aston Villa fans in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's anything too surprising. Carvalho starting centre-back isn't good for me. No, but he might get more ball recoveries this way. Whenever Rodgers creates good chances for Watkins, he's always missing those. Yeah, it happened against Leicester when Hermansen, I think, smuggled the shot. Smuggled? No. Smuggled? Oh, smuggled, yes. Snuffled the shot. Whatever, you get my point, don't you? Timber 4.5, good option. Yes, but I just don't know if he's going to start every single game in the Champions League when Calafiori and all these players are back. Rodgers again involved in the celebrations. The points dodging is mental. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't go there, but he'll probably get something, and if he does, fair play to those that did go for him, but he is a bit of a headache this season. Vlahovic hasn't been awarded the assist as it has to be deemed intentional. That is correct, Coop Dog. That is correct. Gravenberg, I think in terms of ball recovering, yeah, you could be right. At 5 million and below, he might be the best. This is the best UCL stream on YouTube. Like the video, everyone. Thank you, Oder Est Facer. Hopefully I haven't butchered that name. If I have, you'll probably retract your statement, won't you? 2-1 to Milan against Liverpool. I mean, they did well this weekend. It's just before that, Liverpool are looking very strong and Milan had a tough start. Sleeper is a kind of predictor, says Twisted Parky. Second goal was a poke by a PSV defender while defending in the ball, forced McKennie to score. Yeah. A traditional fantasy assist, so if Vlahovic took a shot and it was saved and it was a rebound, then he would get the assist. But the rules are very clear on these scenarios. Thank you to the 200 that are still watching. I would absolutely love to gift memberships. I honestly want to. Look, it's literally flashing as well. It's taking the piss. It's not letting me. It isn't letting me. I don't know why it's not working. And now that I did that, it's not going to let me... Yeah, the overlay is not going to work now. What a shock. It is... Wow, we've been going on it for nearly 3 hours now, but it doesn't feel like it. It really has gone quickly. We've answered so many questions. But yeah, you can see my predictions currently on screen. Let's go back to my UCL team. And let's see if this works. Yeah, Bogard is playing. Does it mean Nedeljkovic could start? Definitely. It means he could start. Will he? Who knows at this point? Because I honestly thought Maatsen was guaranteed to start here on the Tuesday, but it wasn't the case. If you're asking me right now, I'd probably say yes. There's a possibility I'll make a predicted lineups podcast on Friday for FPL, and there we can discuss it further. Rodgers almost assisted Watkins, yeah. 2-0 Villa, Ramsey. Oh my God, there's no way. There is absolutely no way. If Rodgers is not involved, then people are going to be fuming. So yeah, let's see who got the assist. I want Gakpo to start so I can have Jota and FPL. Same here, Batman. Villa goal, comedic moment. Yeah, like I said, young boys are a poor side, unfortunately. So we have covered all of these. I hope City and Madrid don't face off before the finals. I really do. I want Arsenal City in the playoffs. I disagree because Arsenal City we're going to see this weekend. We've seen it quite a lot in the last couple of years, of course. Look, Arsenal City for a semi-final is good, right? But I wouldn't want that for a quarter-final. As for the El Clasico, we've never had a Champions League final between Barcelona and Real Madrid, so I wouldn't mind that, to be fair. Predict the football also lets you predict loads of games but less people. Yeah, that is true. I go AFK and Juve score 2 and Villa score. Did he go AFK again? Joking. Maybe it'll be a PSV goal, which I don't want. It was Dean, but he passed short to McGinn. Ollie Watkins got the assist, by the way, for Aston Villa's second goal. So a decent return there. If he can couple that with a goal, It's looking great for Watkins owners. Do you only see the points after the game, or do they update during? They update during, but there can be some issues with the point scoring and glitches, so that's always a concern. But yeah, typically they are updated straight away. Once again, I'm going to try to gift memberships, and if it is going to let me, I will give 10 now for those that are still here after 3 hours of content. So thank you very much for tuning in since 3:30 p.m. UK time. Yeah, the turnout for the stream has been massive, and it's all thanks to you lot. And hopefully I can give something back here, but it's bloody buffering. I don't know what's happening with YouTube. It's never done this before. Literally, I keep saying it like, and I just know it's not going to happen now. So I don't know why it's not working. Honestly, I don't. Rogers with the pre-assist. Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? Oh, God, don't say that to Rogers owners. They will be fuming. Any league code for Predictor game? I don't have one, to be honest, but maybe I'll create one eventually. Went for Onana instead of Tielemans. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't rate any of them UCL Fantasy-wise, but I'd say Onana's better for ball recoveries. Tielemans does have that long shot in him. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of either. Respect what you do, keep it up. Thank you very much. I personally think defenders and tactics have gotten smarter and evolved over the past few years, so I don't think quality of football hasn't gone down, just smarter defenders. You are correct with the tactics, and I think defensively it's definitely more difficult nowadays, but I still think the quality has gone down a little bit, and players are coached from a young age to be tactical, to keep the ball, and there's less creativity, dribbling, and genius players. So I think it's a mixture of both. They can both coexist at the same time. Anyways, I got to run now. Good luck, Dylan and chat. Thank you, Mick. No problems whatsoever there. Anything says Vlahovic isn't scoring. Let's wait and see. What about Man City Inter? 2-1. I don't need to say I'm a big Inter fan. I went for 2-1 City. I'm torn between that and 1-0. City are in imperious form, but Inter Milan are a top quality team. And actually, if we check the table for Inter Milan, they drew to Monza at the weekend. Yeah, that is a bit of a shock. I know it was away from home. So yeah, Juventus, Udinese and Napoli in the top 2 of the league. You've got Inter and Juventus just behind them. But yeah, for me, Inter are the best Italian club in the last few years. Rogers involved in the celebrations once again. Felipe says, para ti, ¿cuántos puntos por jugador en un partido son suficientes para no sacarlo? Depende del contexto. Así que para los primeros partidos ahora, en el martes, yo creo que sí, 4 o 5 puntos está bien, pero igual, yo voy a hacer mis cambios al final. Entonces, si PSV hacen un gol ahora, voy a sacar Diego Gorio para Blažević y voy a ver qué pasa ahí. Pero con Yamal, Saliba y Cubarsí, voy a ponerlos al final, el 19 de septiembre, en el jueves. Y sí, los que tienen menos puntos lo voy a sacar. Es simplemente como eso. Si es menos de 4, es muy fácil sacarlo. Pero tienes cuidado en sacar un jugador con 2 puntos o hasta 3 puntos, porque quizás alguien que juega el miércoles va a tener 0 o 1. Y en ese escenario vos querés sacar esos jugadores en vez de lo que sacaste antes. Así que tenés que tener paciencia con estos cambios. So yeah, as I said, there's always goals before I end the stream, and we've got 4 goals already, which is crazy. Rogers won a pen, but ref played advantage, and Ramsey scored. Wow, wow. I'm not even going to say that. I'll let Rogers owners speak for themselves. Watkins with the most ridiculous assist. Yeah, a few years ago in a head-to-head, I played someone who was a casual at FPL at the time. He had Watkins, and he got a hat-trick of assists, and like 2 of them were hitting the crossbar or having a shot, and it had like a deflection, and then it went to the other player, and that won him the head-to-head round. Yeah, so I got a bad history of Watkins. What a stupid goal from Villa, says Serial. A goal's a goal. NFL kick holder vibes. Rogers is not getting any attacking returns again, is he? Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Vasco. Over to 500 likes it was a big thing, and we made big progress towards 28,000. We're literally 170 away from the next big milestone, which is 28k. So yeah, in the last 2-3 days, we've gotten 1,000 subscribers, which is great. Yeah, Ramsey with the second goal. Watched it. That shouldn't be a Watkins assist. It is what it is. Watkins goal. Oh, there you go. So Watkins owners are feasting. I really hope Gyökeres can do the business now. So yeah, thank you to all the channels and patrons for today. It's been a blast. That's 5 goals now. Yep, 5 goals for both matches. Adios to you as well, John Laws. Hi, can I see how much I scored in last season fantasy? I think you can, but you have to go to your profile and something like that. It's not as easy as SPL. In summary, Pep ruined everything. Yeah, look, he's a great manager. There's no hate there. But I think a lot of people do take issue with the fact City have all the charges against them. I think that's probably one reason why he doesn't get the credit he deserves. Messi 2012 to 2018 would be 50 million. I think he'd be more than that. If Haaland's 50 million, I think Messi could easily be 16, 17. Because he's also got the assists, and there was that 1 year where he scored 91 in a calendar year. So Rodgers' assist. Wow. Okay, there you go. So finally some points. Finally some points. It's about time. Let's see if he can do it in the FPL, in the next FPL match. What do you think of my team? I'm not really going to say it's a bad team. You know, a lot of these teams are similar and they're very strong. Not a big fan of Vlahovic. That's something I'd always say. He might end up scoring, but I still stand by that. Goalkeepers are good, but Kobo and Di Gregorio do clash very soon. Your defenders look solid. Rico Lewis could be a rotation risk beyond Matchday 1. Yeah, apart from that, though, it looks really good. Yeah, well, this is an FPL, so Watkins' ownership can't hurt. Exactly that. Might get disallowed because the ball hit his arm. Oh, disallowed. Oh, dear, wow. Okay, so I was literally reading comments from before. Yeah, it's funny how things evolve. It's literally, you lot are telling me what's happening. I would be watching it, but I'm here focusing on these questions. Yeah, so no goal, still 2-0. Oh my god, Rodgers owners. I cannot stress how frustrating it must be. He's only 5 million, whatever, but still, in FPL and UCL Fantasy, he is an absolute frustration. Only made my team just now. Will I get the points from the players playing at 8? Yes, you will, Jack. And when will Jack come? If you know, you know. Roy Martin says, Barcelona triple attack in Matchday 2 versus Young Boys is going to be a nice differential for me. Yeah, that looks great, to be fair. I might end up getting a Barcelona player, maybe limitless in Matchday 3, and work it that way. Yeah, Watkins owners fuming. And Rodgers, don't forget him. At least Watkins got the assist. Messi would be getting 3 bonus points every match. Pretty much, even in a game where he doesn't get a goal or assist, because he's one of the best passers in world football, the best dribbler. Yeah, we all know about Messi. Yep, still 2-0. Came off his arm from the rebounded shot, so disallowed goal. It is what it is. No assist for Rodgers, goal disallowed. Getting Watkins, goal disallowed. He can't keep getting away with those dodgy assists. Rodgers owners in the mud. Rodgers the troll. Yeah, everyone's just laughing, right? If you're not a Rodgers owner. I do sympathise, though. It happens. You know, I think he will become a good asset eventually. Jack, I did answer your question. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. At least it's only 5 million. That's the only, you know, reassurance, I guess. Wouldn't have been a Rodgers assist anyway. Watkins scored from his own rebound. Yeah, you might be right about that anyway. What was your thinking about not going heavy on Barca players? Well, they do face Bayern Munich in Matchday 3. Well, you say don't go heavy. I got 2. So it's not that bad, right? I got Kubarsi and Yamal. So it's not like I went for 1 or 0. But yeah, look, I might go for 1 as a 1 Matchday pun in 2. I'm just a bit curious about 3. I hope it's not the stream. YouTube have been really terrible today. I don't know what's happening because everything on my end is fine. No drop frames, no nothing. It's all plain sailing. But even from the gifting memberships, I don't know what's happening with YouTube, to be honest, today. But hopefully it doesn't happen again. It picked a bit of an awkward time to have all these things happen. I'm still going to be a bit, how do I say this, naive maybe, and try to gift these memberships one way or another. I'm literally using like 3 different browsers to try and make this work. So I'm going to do another take here and see if I can use Firefox to get this done. So let's see if I can get the memberships going and gift 10 here today. If not, it'll have to be the next stream, unfortunately. I don't know why it's not working, man. It's literally just loading all the bloody time. Anyway, we're going to answer a few last questions and wrap up. Sorry, guys and girls, I really wanted to gift memberships today, and you would be able to watch the Transcripts podcast now before subscribers and all viewers would get to watch it. But unfortunately, YouTube is just not doing it. Bought Coop Miners, nothing so far. Yeah, give it time, but yeah, Coop Miners isn't someone I recommended too much today. Rogers is absolute quality. He is a good player, but fantasy-wise, he has been a big nuisance. Yeah, Watkins assist. He's got something in the bank. It's more so the Ramsey owners. By the way, Rogers. Ramsey was 0% owned. Those who got him got the ultimate differential. I like Jacob Ramsey. He's a very talented player. Barca's the kind of team to lose their first game. Well, in recent years, you're right. But they are one of the best, in Champions League history. Cheers, Dylan. Likewise, Parky. What's a member? So if you click the join button on YouTube, you can become a member on this channel, and you will get access to my videos before anybody else, and you also get other perks like all my team reveals before anybody else sees them, and sometimes you will be the only ones to get my team reveals. That includes substitutions at times and my change of captaincy in UCL Fantasy. And on Patreon, patreon.com/RCM, it's the same thing. And for YouTube channel members, you can identify them with the logos. They will be highlighted in green, and they'll have one of my channel member logos next to them. Thank you very much, Dara. Massively appreciate. Dara, should I say. I hate butchering names. Thank you very much, anything. Try using a VPN on your phone and see if that works, maybe. Yeah, I don't think I've got a VPN on my phone, to be honest, but that is a good idea. The thing is with YouTube, by the way, on my phone, it never gives me the option to gift memberships here. I always do it on my laptop. But let's see if I can do it here. Nah, it just gives me two options and it doesn't let me gift memberships on my channel. So yeah, halftime 2-0 to Villa. Vasco says, I had De Bruyne until 5 minutes before deadline, changed to Bellingham. Yeah, De Bruyne might be benched tomorrow, so that could be a great transfer. Is he in low form or injured? He's actually in good form, but fantasy-wise, he hasn't been getting that many goals or assists consistently. I haven't answered this question before. I do welcome the new question, actually. But yeah, I think Bellingham will get more points, more starts than De Bruyne this season in the Champions League. Yeah, with De Bruyne playing 90 minutes for Belgium in both games last week, starting every single game for Man City, you've got Arsenal on Sunday. It's difficult to see him starting against Inter and Arsenal. So yeah, half-time, you are correct. Thank you, Roy. See you as well. Nuclear says, cheers, Dylan. I only spend 2 days this time to sort my UCL team. That might be a good thing. Less overthinking, which is something I need to do. The reason why I overthink is because I make content. Before that, I was very casual with these games, believe it or not. Miguel says, Vinicius, Haaland, Gyökeres, Kimmich, Barcola, Wirtz, Yamal, Bellingham, Saliba, Luka Dean, Guerrero, Schlotterbeck, Kubarsi, Gregorio, Blažević. Great squad. I don't have much to complain about. Well, in fact, yeah, I've got an identical team, so I naturally would gravitate towards it. Obviously, you've got Luka Dean. He might get a clean sheet today, which looks good, but I'm not a big fan of him long term, especially match days 2 and 3. And there could be rotation with Maatsen eventually, which I keep talking about, and it never bloody happens. As for Guerrero, more attacking than Kim Min-jae. I think that could work really well for match day 1. But the reason why I went for the South Korean is because of ball recoveries. I went into my profile. I guess there's no way of knowing UEFA fantasy history. Yeah, I don't think you can check your rank history. That's why as soon as the season's over, I take a screenshot. I also have a note of all my ranks since people ask me, where did you finish last year? And I've got it in my graphics. But I'm fairly sure there's a few things you can check in terms of like achievements you've got in the game. Yeah, Lookman's a differential, but against Arsenal, you would expect a blank there. You would expect. Thank you, Miguel. And that's the plan, to keep on doing UCL and FPL videos. I also covered the Euros this summer and the World Cup 2 years ago. Even F1 temporarily, but yeah. UCL Fantasy and FPL, every single match day and game week, I will be here. Thank you, Miguel, Mario8, for becoming a differential, and a massive shout out to all the new members and patrons. And speaking of which, before I wrap up, I want to give a shout out to all of those people here. And like I said, so I know for those of you, you might be a bit frustrated that I couldn't give the memberships today. I did try my best, but YouTube just won't let me. Tune into the next stream, which will be FPL on Saturday, and you can be gifted a membership. The plan is to gift 10 in that specific live stream, unless I can somehow do it today, which I very much doubt. So, a big shout out to the patrons, Aldo Victoria, Chad Vogler, and of course the members as well, JPSPB, also to Gabriel, Simeon, Notre Dame, great name, Luke O'Donnell, Daniel Seremba, AMZ, Salman, also to Belka, Stephen Reed, Juan, Doran, Matt Steen, Nicole Patel, Alex Orloff, Luis Alexander Perella, Rodrigo Urias, and Federico Caliso. The same goes for Bestie, Arda, Lastborn XBL, Exotic Log, Miguel Mario 8, Dom Brew 1, Gokpao Sekar, Toronto Tokyo, Otter King, Kenny Silvera, Abhishek Patra, Gabriel R, Ventislav, Unruly DMV, Rishi, Nathama, Mauro Rodriguez, Aman, Jazabi, Lavanier, Simon Spears, Ulysses, Cat78681, That Air, George Popescu, Alex Leadham, Gabriel Fernandez, and John. And some of you have been members for over a year now, so a massive shout out to you as well. Alex Leadham is one of them. John has also been a member for 2 years. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. So thank you very much for your support. You keep the content going for UCL Fantasy and FPL, and we're very close towards 28k. Maybe by the end of the year, we can get to 30,000. That would be great. Yeah, I think UCL Fantasy has prizes. In fact, they give like PS5s away if you win the whole thing, and tickets to like the next season's Champions League final, stuff like that. Or yeah, I think those are the sorts of prizes you get. They're better than FPLs. Thank you, Punjabi. See you, Dylan. Signing off. Waiting for FPL Game Week 5 videos on stream on Saturday. Cheers. Enjoy the UCL weekdays. Likewise to you. And the transfer tips is already available for patrons and members, and you'll be able to see it very soon. We there, fam, says Julian. Thank you very much. Or Julian, as we say in Argentina. Hey Dylan, love these streams and vids. Been watching you for a couple of years. Random question, non-UCL related, if you mind answering. What do you do? Are you a student or do you work? Keep up the great work. I was a student about like 4 years ago. I do work now, kind of part-time alongside with this. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. But I actually started my channel when I was at uni. I think it was in my last year of uni, actually. And I would basically balance that with YouTube. Bada also puts his team. Very good stuff. That goalkeeper duo looks great, especially if the Juventus goalkeeper keeps a clean sheet. Yeah, I don't have many complaints about that. Coop Miners is probably the worst pick of the lot, but he's a good player. He could still deliver today. I just don't like him that much in the long term, and there are probably better options elsewhere. Thank you to those that have tuned in today. It's been a pleasure talking to you for the past 3 hours. It's absolutely ridiculous. Almost 3 hours and 15 minutes. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's try to get this to, well, as many likes as possible. We've got over 500 already, so thank you very much. Also subscribe to the channel as we're looking to push on towards 28,000. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, for latest FPL and UCL Fantasy updates. Join the Discord server, also the UCL Fantasy League, Draft Hound, and Spotify. Leave a 5-star review on my podcast. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. And there's also the Patreon and membership. So you can click the join button on YouTube, and on Patreon it's patreon.com/DylanRCM for early access to my videos, amongst many other perks. Thank you, Zazie, and thank you, Oder. Great stream, Dylan. Have a good night. Bye, chat. Likewise to you. Adios, Bruno. So apparently the achievements also go back to 0. They do refresh every season, but I'm fairly sure I saw a history of achievements in some part of the website. I'll try to delve into it and maybe give you an answer in the next stream or video. But yeah, it's different to FPL. You have to make a note of your ranks and stuff, otherwise they'll probably be gone forever. Maybe they'll introduce something in future seasons where they can somehow bring back all the archives and records. Let's see. Thank you for the great stream as always. Cheers. Thank you. Afnan says, bye. Great stream as always. Thank you as well. All your words mean a lot. And I wish you the best for FPL and UCL Fantasy. Enjoy the football. And like I said, if you want to be gifted a membership for free, there is the chance to do so by tuning in to the next deadline stream for FPL on Saturday. I'll see you then.